States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you all very much. I will, and Trustee Stevenson is joining by Zoom this evening.
I'm here.
Hello, Roy, glad to see you.
There you go.
We will go to mayoral appointments, and Scott Russell will do those.
Resolved that the mayor appoints and the Board of Trustees approves the following member to the Southampton Village Committee with the term expiring June 30, 2026, and that the Environmental and Sustainability Committee, Monique Savarese.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Monique, thank you for coming to the meeting. There you are. Yeah, good. Glad to have you here. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mike.
Resolved that the mayor appoints and requests from the Board of Trustees to approve Marcella Gambles to the position of Secretary to the Treasurer at a salary of $63,725.50, and that would be effective March 13, 2026.
Which is tomorrow. I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the mayor appoints and requests from the Board of Trustees to approve Taylor DeVello to the position of Secretary to the Planning and Building Department at a salary of $57,000, and that is also effective Friday, March 13, 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so with that, we'll go to our first public hearing. And this is a local law for the fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2026, authorizing a tax levy in excess of the limit established by General Municipal Law 3-C. So I'll make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And just so people understand, this is something that we must go through every year in case we have to pierce the tax cap. We are doing everything we can so that we do not have to pierce the tax cap, but we do have to pass this law about this time of the year in advance of the budget coming out, just in case that eventuality happens. Eileen, did you have anything else you wanted to add about this?
No, most municipalities do it as a part of the regular course of the year. Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? We're opening the public hearing. Does anyone wish to speak, I'm sorry, on this
Okay.
on this topic? Okay, anyone from the board? All right, well then I will make a motion to close this public hearing on the local law for fiscal year commencing June 1st, 2026. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the next public hearing is amending Chapter 99, Taxation. This is to amend the income levels required for eligibility for the senior citizen tax exemption. I'll make a motion to open this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Does anyone, actually, Ed, do you want to say anything about this since you?
Well, this was brought up at the Senior Services Committee. We had a suggestion that we should give a relief to senior citizens of certain age, 65 and over. and since they've been paying the taxes for their whole life, and many of them are struggling with fixed incomes, that we should look at giving them relief. And the mayor looked at the present law levels, which was from a very long time ago, and were adjusted to take into consideration today's living standards. So this is a good thing, I think, and I hope it passes without a problem.
So this is not a new structure, it's just updating the income
Right.
levels
Correct.
for eligibility to make them more in tune with inflation and...
Real
Correct.
property taxation law was updated, is periodically updated, but we never kept pace. So
And the state does that.
the state does that.
Right, so just to let everybody know, for an example, if you were a senior citizen and you had an income, your income would have to be less than $36,300 until we're changing the law today. Now that threshold, that minimum threshold, will go up to $58,401. So if you make less than that, you will get a portion of your taxes, a percentage of your taxes, as exempt.
This conforms us with state law?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyone in the public wishing to talk on be heard on this, please come forward. I was gonna get Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Jay Fitzpatrick, Elm Street. I applaud the board for acting so fast on this to add senior citizen tax forgiveness proposal. Implementing New York State 467 property law is good. It's not exactly what I envisioned, but it's probably the right way to go. But 467, the way I read it as an architect, not as a lawyer, gives a lot of wiggle room to the village. It says that after having a meeting like this, the village can adopt a local law, can write ordinances or resolutions after a public hearing, such as, and this is a big one, excluding Social Security as an income. The state allows you to not include a person's Social Security as part of their income. That's a big deal for elderly people, okay? The second thing is the state also allows you to not have people come back every year after year after year and bring their income taxes and prove the renewal. They allow you to, with a local law or an ordinance, to have the ability to just have them do it once. And I'm glad to see that you took the minimum from 3,000 to 50,000 to 58,400, which is what the town is doing.
Yeah.
I just think that if we could be a little bit more creative, use what the state is telling us, that we can do our own little things back and forth. Maybe get a hold of Tommy John as our state representative. He can help us out. And just say to the older people who have been paying property taxes for 40 to 50, 60 years, some of them. I've been paying almost 50 years of property taxes. You know, you've done your bit. We'll carry on for here. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. Sheila Pfeiffer.
Sheila Pfeiffer, 56 Hildreth. I just wanted to say that I think this is a great move. I did go to inquire since I thought I would qualify. This was several years ago, and was kind of shocked at what the level was and wondered if anyone could actually even live on that level. So I think this is a good move, and I don't know about all the details that Mr. Fitzpatrick was talking about, but it's a good start. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard on this topic during this public hearing? Okay, any other final comments from the board? All right, well,
I would just say I'm very intrigued. This is news to me. Thank you, Mr. Fitzpatrick. I don't think I have enough information to consider that as an amendment for tonight, but I just ask maybe Ed and his senior committee to keep
Yeah,
looking into
definitely.
that and what other municipalities do. So I'd like to make this change for now, but stay open to those ideas.
all right, very good. Eileen, we can discuss it as well. But at this point, then, I'll close this public hearing on amending Chapter 99, taxation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we have two presentations to the board this evening. The first one is Skip the Stuff, presented by the Environmental and Sustainability Committee, with our newest member in the audience, to include guests. Suffolk County Legislator Welker is here in the rear of the room, as well as Suzanne Jansen and the Southampton Town Sustainable Committee. So I'm not sure who was going to lead off the presentation, but whoever it is, please come forward. Excellent.
Thank you to the village trustees for your time to learn about Skip the Stuff. My name is Katie Shaw, and I'm a Southampton Village, more than 25-year member of the village. I also am enjoying being on the Southampton Village Environment and Sustainability Committee, chaired by Sheila Pfeiffer. Skip the Stuff describes a national effort to reduce single-use plastic items, such as utensils and condiment packages, which are given out by food establishments with takeout and delivery orders. Unfortunately, a large amount of these single-use plastics end up on beaches and in the ocean and other wonderful environmental havens. Skip the Stuff advocates for customers to request these single-use plastics rather than restaurants automatically including them in every takeout or delivery order. Skip the Stuff saves food establishments money as well as protects the beaches and oceans we all love. The Village of Sag Harbor passed a code amendment to achieve Skip the Stuff in November 2025. East Hampton Village has already passed it as well. Today, you will hear a 5-minute presentation about Skip the Stuff from Christine Capelli, who is the chair of Surfrider Eastern Long Island. We look forward to a discussion about if and how Southampton Village can address the issue of single-use plastics and prioritize protecting Southampton's beaches and oceans. Thank you.
Thank you much,
Christine.
Katie.
Hello, I'm Christine Capelli. I live in Sag Harbor with my family, and as Katie mentioned, I volunteer with the Surfrider Foundation. And thank you for listening to us tonight about Skip the Stuff, which is an international effort to reduce single-use plastics. In particular, these little utensil packets we all get are napkins, condiments, and many of us don't always use them, but they come with our takeout and our delivery orders. Next slide.
Yeah, we had
Okay.
a problem with this TV today, so everything has to be on this side today. Sorry
You can
about that.
actually jump one more. So plastic pollution is an ever-growing concern, and it's on the minds of 83% of Americans. It's in our air. We've recently learned it's in our bodies at this point, and it's contaminating our beaches, oceans, and bays at an alarming rate. We've been taught that we can recycle plastics and the problem will go away. But what we actually know is that only 9% of plastics are recycled, leaving 12% to be incinerated and nearly 80% to end up in landfills. Next slide. We also know that just because trash goes into a landfill or a garbage can, it doesn't stay there. Trash travels, unfortunately. Animals, wind, storm runoff, even debris left behind in a beach picnic, it all contributes to putting plastic back into our environment. 17 billion, with a B, pounds of plastic already fill our ocean right now. And so it negatively impacts marine life like seabirds, turtles, dolphins, the fish that we catch and eat. It breaks down into microplastics that then contaminates our food, our water, and our air. And for a coastal community that relies on our waters for health, economics, and even our recreation, this is something we should all be concerned about. So where's it all coming from? Next slide. 42% of plastics produced, all plastics produced, are single-use and therefore disposable. In US alone, 561 billion disposable food service items are used every year. 36 million little utensils are used every year. And those little condiment packets, the mustard, ketchup, mayo we all love, 855 billion of those are used and trashed globally every year. And we're seeing this right in our own backyards. Next slide. Surfrider Foundation conducts a number of beach cleanups all over the East End, North and South Forks. And since 2019, we've done about 180 of these beach cleanups. And in the 13,000 pounds of trash that we've all gone out and picked up, we find nearly 70% of it is food service items, with 880 little plastic utensils in some broken up form, others fully unused. That's what we're picking up. And we're also picking up plastic stirrers in the hundreds and 18,000 other little takeout stuff. Next slide. It's costly for all. Restaurants just include these little packets by default, and it becomes an unnecessary burden for the consumers who are usually either going home to eat or in an office where they likely have utensils that they can already use. So we all stash it in that drawer that we all have at home, or we just toss it. And for the restaurants, they're paying for these extra materials that are going in the bag and then just getting thrown away, often unused. So that's why we're requesting your consideration in passing a Skip the Stuff code that would require all Southampton Village restaurants to provide takeout accessories on request only. And that will set the standard for current restaurants, but also for future ones that may open. And it works very simply. For customers, if you want the accessories, you simply ask for them, or there could be a designated space in the restaurant. And if you don't want them, you skip it. You skip the stuff. For businesses, you just keep the stuff out of the bag. You train your employees to ask before automatically distributing them. You can also make it possible to opt in on food delivery apps, so when you're ordering online. And you can have educational signage and messaging around. We've seen this work across the country and even closer to home, New York City, East Hampton Village, and most recently, Sag Harbor Village. We've also seen it work with plastic bags. I mean, it wasn't long ago we were all just taking bags and from the grocery stores and coming home with everything in plastic, but now we're all bringing our bags into stores, and it becomes, because of the code, it becomes a behavior change. Lastly, we know it's good for business. So not only does it reduce the plastic on our beaches and our waters, but it saves businesses money. We have heard that some of the restaurants that are opting into this, like Boswick's, they've saved $2,500 a year in keeping these little items out of the bag. It can also increase customer satisfaction. We know from a recent study by Oceana, it shows that 80% of US voters support requiring companies to reduce single-use foodware items. And we've also seen, next slide, a phased approach can work. So the first step in a phased approach is to educate local businesses, restaurant owners, and the community about Skip the Stuff and its benefits. Then you pass the legislation, which will require restaurants' participation. You can even have a grace period before full implementation, and then there's the full implementation. Rarely does such a complex problem have such a simple solution. So that's why I'm really hopeful we can all agree it just makes sense to skip the stuff in Southampton Village and offer these little items only on request.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your presentation. Are there any questions from the board?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, why would you not also require these utensils to be biodegradable?
It's a slippery slope. Some of the bioplastics that are out there, and we can follow up with more information, are also not that environmentally friendly. So the safest, cleanest route is just to minimize the amount that you're giving out altogether, and just have it be on request only.
Mm-hmm. I also seem to have utensils made of wood, for example.
That's a fantastic option if restaurants want to go with that instead, and then even it would be cost savings if they only give them out on request.
Right. So that shouldn't be part of the legislation?
That's an extra step that could be considered. This legislation keeps it simply on reducing these items. That's an extra step that could be considered.
I'll just add to that.
You have to come, sorry, Katie, you have to come to the microphone, sorry.
Am I allowed to?
Yes.
In terms of simplicity, both Sag Harbor and East Hampton Village basically amended existing plastic legislation, which kept it very straightforward in terms of amending in a code versus all new legislation. That's kind of what the Skip the Stuff is. But if you want to consider more ambitious, good for you.
Okay, and I did want to ask Legislator Welker if she had anything she'd like to add.
I'll wait until public portion.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So,
Bill, if I could just add my 2 cents.
of course, Roy, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I didn't know you were interested, so go ahead, please.
As a business owner in the village, we've seen, I remember the first phone call I got about, 10 or 15 years ago about plastic bags and eliminating plastic bags, which at that time, our store was providing customers with plastic bags. And even though the alternative was more expensive, I actually felt very good about being able to make that change. And I actually like the bags we provide now so much more than the plastic bags that we used to have. And then a few years ago, we used to have actually a pretty good business in providing balloons, helium balloons for people's birthday parties. And the town and the village passed legislation making that illegal. And in spite of the fact that that did cost us some revenue, as I explained to people who call up and still want to get a dozen balloons for a birthday, what happens to them, to many of them ending up on the beaches and being ingested by the seagulls or the aquatic fish and animals, just about everybody gets it. So I commend the committee, Environmental and Sustainable Committee, for thinking about this and advancing this idea, and I would support it wholeheartedly.
Thank you very much, Trustee Stevenson. So with that, I think I'll make a motion to.
Trustee Coburn and I are the co-liaisons to the Environmental and Sustainability Committee, and we divvied up with the committee interviewing various restaurants in the village to get a reaction from restaurant owners. And my restaurant owner does this not only in his walk-up takeout business, but also in his point-of-sale software. The question is asked whether or not they would like the forks. He is wholeheartedly behind it. He sees the business opportunity that he has, and he sees the environmental benefits, but he was concerned about over-regulation and legislation. I'd like to ask, did you run into that in East Hampton Village or in Sag Harbor when you proposed this legislation?
No, not in Sag Harbor at all.
For the record, because he can't be heard, people are shaking their heads and saying no, that they did not run into that issue. And I would just note, not that we should take our foot off the gas, but I believe that all of the online food apps, which are taking over a larger share of outsourced or home delivery, are moving toward this as well, where they may be requiring restaurants or people who want to be on their apps, they are already in some jurisdictions, to have this as a specific request that otherwise their member or users, restaurant users, will not provide these, and they're training them to do that. But that doesn't relieve us of the need to get this word out and maybe adopt legislation as well.
Okay, so I think we'll close that board presentation, and we'll go on to the second board presentation tonight, which is on energy market procurement, presented by Good Energy and Calpine Energy Solutions. Ed Carey, please come to the, and introduce yourself, even though I just said your name. Yeah.
Just give me all of them and I'll. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I did have one for this one. Thank you.
So, good evening. I didn't think it was going to snow again, but it did. So.
It did just a little bit.
Yeah, like my colleague here, she was just going from the middle of from Huntington. She said it's a full-on blizzard. So, I don't know if hopefully that's not coming our way. So, but I want to talk about a subject that I think everyone is familiar with right now is the price of energy. It is going through the roof. And so I appreciate the time, and Mayor and the council, thank you very much for having me tonight. I just want to give a little bit of an elevator speech of like who I am, what we're trying to do, and what we're doing around New York State, and especially around Long Island. Again, my name is Edward Carey. I've been in the energy markets for about 34 years. My family had an energy company. I went in there. I went and worked for the city of New York. Sustainability is a big thing I'm passionate with. I was deputy director for the city of New York's Office of Sustainability under Giuliani and Bloomberg, and then from there went into the Office of Procurement and doing natural gas and oil for the city of New York. From there, I then joined Alvarado Hess for a while, and then about 19 years ago, bought into a consulting brokerage firm called Good Energy. And we go around the country looking for large energy users. So if it's a big real estate company such as Jones Lang LaSalle or something like that, or Vornado, we are interested. Our big specialty is government. We probably cover over 4,000 municipalities across the country. We're very strong. We have 5 offices. We're in Boston, New York City, Peoria, Illinois, Dallas, Texas, and London, England. And in that capacity, in government, we go after natural gas, alternative energy, electricity is a big part of our portfolio. And in New York State, there's something called the New York Municipal Energy Program. That is a collaboration between the Association of Towns, so there's 938 supervisors in the state, that's Association of Towns, and then there's 532 mayors in the state of New York, and that's NICOM. So they come together, and they got AOT and NICOM, which is about 1,500 municipal leaders, and they created NIMEP, which is, again, New York Municipal Energy Program, of which I run. And I've had the opportunity to meet your mayor up in Albany and around the state and stuff like that, and we were telling him what we do around the state, helping different municipalities. We service cities like Buffalo, Syracuse, Rochester, Plattsburgh, White Plains, Binghamton. We help them do purchasing for electricity and natural gas. In Long Island, we've been doing gas for close to 18 years. You could go out and purchase a natural gas contract, and not a problem. We petitioned against LIPA, and we had to sue them to get their price formula, and we won. And from there, we are now doing electricity procurement for different municipalities, and it's really worked out well. It's somewhat new to Long Island. When I say new, I mean about 4 years old, but it's taken a lot of interest. So far, of what we've done with energy procurement is the town of Hempstead. They've signed on for both gas and electric. Babylon is looking at it. Brookhaven has come on board. They've done very well with these programs. Your neighbors, Sag Harbor, they are doing the program. East Hampton is doing the program. And that's when we got in touch with Mayor Manger. We said, this is what's going on. You should be taking a look at this. Energy, as we all know, is a commodity. And just like everyone's retirement fund, that is managed. Your energy here on electricity, you're going with PSE&G. PSE&G is the utility. They don't generate power, they deliver power. And you're on an index rate. So it goes up, goes down. You had the most brutal winter we've had in decades, and everyone is opening up their electricity bill and saying, well, I can't say it publicly, but a big holy, and so it's bad. And then now we have this Middle East crisis. Guess what? It's going up. So what we're trying to do is lower that, and we're trying to get a cheaper price, and because with the utility makes money. 100% of their profit comes from the transportation and the distribution of power. They do not make it on the supply. That is a 100% pass-through. So if the price goes up, all they do is they pass it on to the customer. It does not matter to them. When they buy power, a computer is doing this. They buy power on, say, maybe December, 28th. There might be a blizzard. There might be a cold spell. Price goes up. They might be buying in July on a 100-degree day. Guess what? That price is up also. So we look at that is like they buy on just these calendar dates where we've been trying to bring electricity on deregulated. New York City is a deregulated state, bring deregulated electricity into Long Island, Zone K, and we had the largest energy companies out there. Constellation is the largest generation company in the United States. Market cap at about $120 billion. They own probably a good 70% of the new capacity in this country. They said, no, we're not interested. We cannot do that. We don't have control over the lines. You had other companies, NRG, based out in Texas, sent us a letter, said, no, we will not do it. We'll do the gas, but we won't do the electricity. My colleague here Lauren, is with Calpine. She's the Calpine rep that it represents Long Island. Calpine has 5 generation stations around Long Island. They're in Bethpage, Stony Brook. They're completely off the grid. JFK Airport, which we're all familiar with, that is 100% off the grid. If you go into JFK Airport, you'll see a generation station. Reason being, because it's also a military base, and they are completely off the grid. And they did. The lines that are controlled here are controlled by LIPA, and they only were an importer of energy. So that's when we started to go to these different generation groups and saying, how can we get this in? Calpine said they export power and import power. They said, we can do this. They're the only company that can do this. So we then brought these to the different municipalities saying, hey, we can not only lower your costs, but we can stabilize your costs. Right now, municipalities are in a lot of trouble, especially on Long Island. These brutal storms have come through, and unfortunately, your salt budget has been blown out. Your overtime has been blown out. There's other things that you have to look at, different commodities where you'd say, imagine if you're driving a car and you pull up to the whatever station, the guy comes out of the booth and says, hey, I'll give you gasoline at $2.50. Gasoline is now like $4 something. California, it's at $6. Imagine saying, for 12 months, you're going to pay $2.50. You would sign that. And that's what we're asking here for the municipality is you're on a 100% index. What we want to do is put you on it, go very conservatively, put you also on an index, but a more managed index. When we, in our presentation, if anybody wants my number or I had my business card, I will hand it to you and I'll send you this presentation. The Calpine Index is done by a team. It's more of a managed product. And I'll sort of show the board and I'll show you guys on the last page. This is basically, Calpine is a high in a couple of things, but majority of it, it's under what Lilco is doing. I mean, I understand where sort of energy is going for out the next 1 year to 2 years. It starts to get a little bit fuzzy out after there. The Middle East conflict really surprised everyone. The markets screamed up, but markets are coming down. Like natural gas is the primary feedstock that creates electricity. We're not importing oil here. We are importing oil, but natural gas is everywhere. We have so much of this stuff, so our energy markets are somewhat safe. There's still major spikes and everything, but natural gas is a primary feedstock that creates electricity, and Calpine is how they manage it is a lot better than the utility. That's what we're saying. So what we would like to do with you, like your neighbors, we would like for you to join into this pool, and we can bring you stability and a better price for your township. And I would just like to introduce Lauren, my colleague, if you just stand up, say hello to people. If you have anything to say about Calpine.
Sure. Thank you for having me here. It's really nice to meet all of you. Like Ed said, there's risk in the market, in the energy market, but there's not risk all the time. And what Calpine essentially looks to do is to manage the risk during the most volatile periods. And we use historical analysis to make sure that we are managing those most volatile months and making sure that we leave you exposed to a better index relative to piece like LIPA when there's opportunity in the market. The goal here is essentially to get better budget stability and to get you to the best price outcome over a tenor of time, as opposed to just being with a black box, which is LIPA. You get your bill, you pay it, whatever it is. That's not how Calpine operates.
The other thing is just like, these are sort of energy trends over the last 5 years. You have Ukraine here, the Middle East is here, but now prices went up to $100 last night with oil. Gas, they shot up to almost $4. We like gas. Gas has been trading for the last 10 years in like that $3 to $4 range, and then there's been some major spikes. But our job is to flatten out that price for you guys, so you can look forward and saying, oh, there's a conflict, there's a storm, there's a weather pattern coming. We don't care because we have a fixed price. It's just like your home when the oil person calls you up in the summertime and say, hey, you want to lock this in for the winter time. It's very similar to that. But we have a team of Calpine is several thousands of people, and my firm is over 100 people. We do a very good job, especially in the government sector. And if anybody needs a reference or anything, we can supply that. I've told the mayor, please, I encourage you to get in touch with your neighbors on who's doing this. I can supply those numbers for you. And we hope this goes forward for tonight.
Right.
And then anybody want a business card?
Thank you, Ed. Why don't we ask questions of the board here? If anyone here has any questions or anything they'd like to address with Ed.
I have one question to it. First of all, Calpine is also like LIPA, just transporting it, or they're actually buying the energy?
The way deregulation works is LIPA is an authority. It's run by the state, and they've given basically PSEG to run it for them. If you look at the way energy is brought into Long Island, it's crazy, because LIPA is basically a bumper sticker. I mean, it's just like, if you go to, I've been to PSEG headquarters, and the team is about 30 people. LIPA is 70 people. That's all LIPA is. And then the Electric Brotherhood, or the union, they have about 3,000 employees. And those three groups run all of the power that comes into Long Island. The poles are, every other pole. One is owned by LIPA, one is owned by Verizon. And the lines are, bottom line is LIPA, the top line is Verizon. And they make all of their profit on transporting the power. We're all getting our energy from the grid, the NISO. That's the clearinghouse, as you might call it. LIPA, every 2 seconds, whatever, goes up to the grid, buys some power, and they bring it down here. They transport it, like PSEG, LIPA transports the power out to Montauk and all the other municipalities on there. And part of that, wholesale and retail, Calpine can do that. Every other large ESCO said they don't want it. They don't want to deal with Long Island because they don't have the price formula, or they don't have the wire capacity for LIPA. Calpine does, because they have very large generation assets on Long Island, so they can control both ways on how our power comes into here. So when we went to Calpine, and again, Calpine is looking. They're whale hunting. They're looking for large loads. So looking for the data center. They're looking for that. We brought in Town of Hempstead. We brought in Brookhaven. That's when they said, like, we like that. And that's when they said, you can piggyback off of those contracts. So they're allowing you to come in to benefit off of those large loads. And I can say this is, right now, Nassau County is looking to join this as well. We've had conversations with Suffolk County. They're looking at it. Babylon's looking at it. I mean, also they're looking at market space, and they're also looking just to grow their footprint.
And my second question, see, you're addressing the public. Does every individual have to buy into Calpine, or you're looking for the municipality to
This is,
provide?
I apologize for that. This is just for the village of Southampton's assets. This is not for residents. The way we look at that, it's called a commercial industrial account. And then when you look at your LIPA bill, it's you're a commercial industrial, or you're a residential, which is a C1, C2 thing. This is not for residents. This is only for the village and their assets.
Are you referenced the idea of buying your energy from your oil company, for instance. Are we entering a fixed price contract for a period of time if we were to work with you, or are we entering an agreement to abide by the Calpine Index and purchase energy?
We're going to present it, like, what we want to do is, right now you're on an index. You're a 100% index.
Right.
We're asking you to go on to Calpine's index.
Okay.
Right now, because of the Middle East conflict, prices are high.
Okay.
I don't want to put you in this market right now. LIPA is at 14 cents. I'm somewhere in that 12, maybe 13 cents. I think I can do better.
So we're not getting a fixed price, we're just getting a better index, and you're less volatile.
That's how we want to start.
Okay, I mean, I'd like to see more data. I'm just looking at the spaces between the two curves on this graph, and it feels like there's almost as much above the line as below the line, and we budget year to year, so I'm not sure
those are just
removing that much volatility from our budget.
Yeah, I can't,
based on what I see so far.
Okay, I can supply that to you. Those are 100% index prices, which you're looking at there, and that's what we were looking at.
Yeah.
If we had done this, like, let's say October or November, and I had like a 5 to 10 or 20% index, you have been doing right. Town of Hempstead did 50%. What we're also talking about here is these are seasonal hedges. So what we want to start off with, we'd be at 100% index. And then right now, the market is coming down. Why? Because it's getting warmer, not tonight, but getting warmer. And daylight savings. Also, you're going to start illuminating your house at 7 o'clock. During the winter, you were turning on your lights at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. So energy usage and energy prices are going to come down. That's why we want to, for the springtime, we want to put in a 25 or 40% hedge, then jack it up to 75% hedge during the summertime. So it's July, August, September, you're covered. Come back down in the fall, and then winter, we'll probably take it up to 80%. But right now, we just because how slow LIPA works, we're asking you to you're on an index, go on to their index, and then within a month or two, we're going to start putting in financial hedges. We're going to put in 10 or 15%, whatever we can do. We've done places upstate, Albany, they went 100%. Down here, we think it's a smarter thing to secure 30% or 40% of that hat. So right now, there's 100% exposure. Why not take some of that off and only be 50% exposed?
Okay. And the exposure, again, just to be clear, is you're creating an index to reduce volatility, but not to fix a price.
Can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, jump in.
Yeah, sure. I think to answer your question really simply, like I said earlier, there's certain times of the year where there's a lot of risk in the market. It's Dec, Jan, Feb, and it's in the summer. So June, July, and August. We know that prices in Zone K always blow out in those months. You guys just saw it in your bill. And that the energy markets settle pretty low on all like the other 6 months of the year. So what Ed is saying is what we do is we go out and we take a fixed position for the months where there's a lot of volatility. That gives you budget certainty. So you're going to lock in a price for the months like December cleared at $256. That was astronomical. I'm sure you guys saw that in your budget. You go out and you fix the portions of your energy usage when there's volatility in the market, and then you take advantage of the low index clears during the shoulder months when energy is cheap. But those discussions around what are you comfortable fixing, that's entirely up to you. So we have recommendations, and we have recommendations of all of my customers here on Long Island and what they do, but that's a conversation that we can have together, and the fixed price portion entirely depends upon how much you want to fix during those most volatile months.
Everything that we do is always the month ahead. And so we're asking to maybe try to, if we miss it, we miss it. We're going to try to get you on an index for an April start. Everything we do, we have to give about 15 days notice to LIPA. And so we try to get you on the April and take advantage of it because, April, because it's a very cheap month. Okay. If we go into May, the state, everyone out there is already buying. So April is you should really take advantage of that because May will be expensive, and then you're going into June and summer, and then it's like we'll have to wait till November. So I don't need to. That's just the timing of why we're here. Yeah. The importance of that is you're going into a very cheap month. Take advantage of it.
So you said Nassau County and Suffolk County were looking into it, but
yep.
But wasn't Suffolk County part of the program and backed out?
Suffolk County, no. Suffolk County, they're looking at it right now, but like
they were in the program in the past and got out of the program, right?
You're talking about the CCA that we did. That was it was a different program. That was a residential program. That's when we were here when I went to your office. Mm-hmm. There was a residential called Community Choice Aggregation. We are not doing that. Yeah. The last one in the state pretty much put roadblocks in that, so that's sort of phasing out of New York, unfortunately, because a lot of townships want it, but unfortunately it's phasing out. Binghamton is really the last one that's doing it. So so it's an energy program, but it's not that program.
Do you have any capability to suggest on an annualized basis? Are we talking about saving 2 or 3%, or are we talking about saving 10 or 12%? Is there some ballpark?
Yeah, I mean, like it really depends. It's like it's like buying a financial, like it's buying a stock. When do you get in on it? Do you buy it at $10 and it went up to 50, or did you buy it at 50 and went up to 55? Like we have certain townships that got the benefit of like a 10% savings or 5% savings. Plattsburgh, New York, up there, Chazy, New York, they had 33% savings. We have other things like Town of Hempstead. They did unbelievable on the millions of dollars they saved because of this program, because they got in October, a cheap month. And then a year later, you look at these numbers and they're incredible. The person up there is Councilman Muscarella, and Councilman Gooseby have personally called me and said, "This is an unbelievable program. Thank you for bringing it to our attention."
I guess I'm not understanding. So what's happening is you're asking the village to basically buy the power in October and then use it in July? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Like, these contracts are traditionally 24 to 36 months. That's what East Hampton did. That's what Sag Harbor did. They did their contracts in October and November, cheap months, and they did phenomenal this winter on saving money. But they're seasonal hedges, so they go up and down with the market. So again, the hedge would be put in for the next month. We'll start off with an index. We'll run the numbers and say we recommend putting a 20% hedge, 80% exposure, 20% fixed. We could go higher if we get a really good number. I'm going to be comparing that to the LIPA numbers, and if you look up LIPA rates on Google, you'll see it right there. Right, this past month was 14 something. I mean, these numbers are crazy. And if energy as a whole, as we read every day in the newspaper, because of Bitcoin and data centers, we've done all these studies that the economy, they want it here. We have power here. How we're going to get to here is a mystery from everyone. I've been doing this for 30 years. I have no idea where we're going to get this energy. And we're also, with the federal administration, they've knocked out windmills and solar, and all that stuff is going away. That's tightening up the market. The market's going up. So you can stay on this index, but what we've seen from different municipalities is at least put some form of security hedge in there. This is what you're getting into is an insurance policy. You're ensuring that it doesn't go up, doesn't go down. You're ensuring that, like, if you have one of these big blowout months or something like that, it doesn't matter because you have a hedge in. And again, I don't like doing 100%. Some municipalities do. It's basically you're putting all the chips on the table. We don't recommend that. We say, but at least do 20%, 50%, and then during the blowout months that we do know, if it's December or August, put in 80%. These are short exposures. They're not long-term exposures.
Thank you. Very interesting. Thank you both, and hopefully your trip back won't be perilous. I suspect what we should do, instead of doing the analysis in front of everybody, perhaps we can work with the village administrator, kind of go over our electric bills, understand what our Johnson Control benefit is going to be, which is another aspect since we've installed a lot of solar panels and our zero usage basically for some of our facilities, and do the analysis with you perhaps once we're done our homework, if that's a course of action that my colleagues would agree with.
Yeah.
And we recently requested all of your information from PSEG LIPA, so we have today just have all of your updated data.
Yeah,
so
we have all of your data, so we can send that to you.
Yeah.
Johnson Controls out to you, but we have every single account here. We know the usage. We know everything about how you guys are using it. So we'll supply that to you as well.
You'll send that to.
Yeah, of course.
We have the accounts.
So you
We're
can-
supplying
Yeah,
it to you,
yeah.
so-
So you already.
Well, we requested from LIPA and ISO, so we know the exact usage of every single meter.
So you already can give us an analysis of what the savings would be by using.
Yeah. Alrighty.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
Appreciate
Very
it.
much.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody want a card over there?
And thank you to Calpine. All right, Scott, we'll go to correspondence for the board.
Yes, we actually have a few letters. Let's see if I can find my Okay, first we have correspondence from former Mayor Mark Eppley, who supports the 4-year term limits and greatly supports people deciding by referendum, recognizing that there are solid points on both sides of the issue and reminding the public that people volunteer to run for election out of a labor of love. We have correspondence from Professor Neil Slaughter, who is in favor of keeping the current terms in place. And it was an agenda that was voted against 2023. Correspondence from Walter Dean, who supports 4-year terms and outlines a couple of reasons why. Correspondence from Jay Deasing, who supports the motion to consider holding a referendum and residents voting on the decision. Correspondence from Krishna Biko, who supports establishing 4-year terms and outlines some reasons for that. Correspondence from Chuck Scarborough, who supports adding a proposition to the ballot to extend 4-year terms, and again outlines some particular reasons why. Correspondence from Michael Zinder, who is against 4-year terms. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, and outlines some reasons why he's against that. Correspondence from Trustee Robert Coburn, who outlines that the findings and observations note that concerns about the process, how and why the topic arose again, reasons put forward in support, other factors at work. Correspondence Deborah Bates, who supports the proposition to lengthen the terms, and the best approach is to let the voters decide. Correspondence from Deborah Herrick-Hare, who supports including a voter proposition at the upcoming election for 4-year terms. Correspondence from David Rung states the reasons on what the 4-year term initiative is all about and why it is inappropriate. Correspondence from Nancy McNally, who vehemently objects to extending the terms and questions that, and again, raises issues as to why of her position is. And correspondence from Laura Davini, who feels public referendum to extend terms is not in the best interest of the village, and outlines 8 points why. And that concludes all the ones I have.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Scott. And now, I guess we can conduct the public comment period.
Yes, actually, I'm going to tell people that we're going to be on a 3-minute firm hard line because we have many people that probably want to comment. So what I'm going to do is offer people the opportunity, but it's 3 minutes. It's a hard deadline.
Okay, so who would like to come up and for public comment? I see Tommy Murray in the back, so you have to come up to the microphone, Tommy.
Bill, just letting you know,
Yeah.
my comment is a little bit of a departure from what the letters were. So if anyone's here to talk about term limits, maybe they should go first and I can come up afterwards.
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean, if there's a, I don't want to get
But-
off topic here. But
No,
my-
anyone
off
can
topic.
talk about any topic they wish to speak on. So,
Okay.
I'm happy to have you come now, Tommy, and then go around the room.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm here mainly just to inquire what the status is of the Fred Teal, Minerva Perez, East End Public Safety and Accountability Law, which I think is really a good idea. And all I'm trying to do is just find out what I can do as a resident of the village. And I understand this is being considered on a hamlet by hamlet basis. I think there's 10 separate entities that are, going to, I guess, ultimately vote on this. And in the wake of the editorial in the press on March 4th, and the idea of basically just protecting and verifying the citizens, we don't want to have, and understanding this is not, getting in the face of these masked ICE people, but just to have some sort of process where if they're out here and they're pulling up in front of a school or a business or any place, that there is the possibility or the expectation that local law enforcement can at least be there, ask for identification, find out why they're there, and do whatever the protocol of this law suggests. So I just want to kind of go on the record. I want to help as much as I can to sort of alert people to the legislation and do what I can do sort of on the ground granularly to help the cause. And also I'm interested in finding out what the status is of how you guys feel about it. And if this is something that is viable, that you're considering, that, has legs. So.
Well, I wish the chief of police were here because she could obviously address this
Yeah.
very well. I know that there have been different versions of the language going back and forth between different municipalities. So, I've been getting copies of some of these. I don't think actually anyone's arrived at a final verbiage. And that's why it seems like it's sort of ping-ponging back and forth between different people that have different ideas.
So it sounds like it's going to be a while certainly before this gets to the point where it's going to be voted on in any capacity. So, I mean, is there any people here in the village, and I'm concerned about the village, this is where I live, and this is the only, you guys are concerned about that. Just in terms of sort of heightening awareness and letting people know about it, I can certainly do that.
Yeah.
But, and I guess you're in no position now to say that what the receptivity is as far as the village and as far as you as mayor are concerned.
I really would like the police chief to be able to discuss this, because I have discussed this with her, and she actually is well-versed on protocols and processes and things like that. I don't know, Eileen, did you want to add anything at this point?
No, just, did we get his name for the record?
Oh, it's Tommy Murray, yeah.
You know him, but
Okay,
I'm
okay.
not sure the record will know who he is later, that's all. Sorry.
So maybe the police chief would be the next person to try and talk to.
Definitely.
Or at least communicate with.
We could also entertain a presentation from Ola or an organization to get us more informed and to raise awareness publicly as well. So if you have an ability to encourage them to contact Village Hall and see if they could be on an agenda for our work session.
So that would be for this event, for this venue, or for a work session that you have prior to these nightly?
It could be a regular meeting, which is the first meeting of the month, or a work session. Our next work session is the 24th, I think, if I have the
It's
date
a
right.
regular public meeting, though, to answer your question. It's the second meeting in the month. We call it a work session, but it's a public meeting like this.
But we have
That's the one it's the afternoon, right? It's like
No, it's 6 o'clock.
Oh, it's 6 o'clock.
It'd be a board presentation, informational presentation, just like the energy one that we just heard, to educate us and also educate the public more. We're aware of this issue, but I don't think there's been as much.
So they can get in touch with the board, with the trustees, and figure out where would be the best venue for them to do that.
I'd encourage them.
Okay, cool. All right. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tommy, very much. Anyone else speak on public comment period?
Is this time to talk for the park as well, comments on the park, or is that for later?
You can speak on any topic you wish.
Okay, so we should probably do it now.
Yes,
So
you
there's
get
an
it.
attorney on for some of the residents to speak about the park. Maybe it's best to go with him first. He's on Zoom.
Okay, he's on Zoom.
Yeah.
What is the attorney's name?
Anton Borovino. Yeah.
And Roy, you're still there.
I am.
Bless you.
Roy kind of has that lawyer look.
There he is.
Yeah, I don't think he went to law school, though. Okay, go ahead, sir, please. Sage, is it going through? Sir, I think you have to unmute. Sir, we can see you.
Can you see me?
Yes, you may proceed.
Yeah, okay. I'm glad it's working out. This is Anton Borovino. I'm an attorney Mayor Major and members of the board, and represent numerous residents of the village in opposition to the village's plans to alienate Lola Prentice Park to allow its use for wastewater treatment infrastructure. And pending before you today on the agenda is a resolution which, if you were to adopt, would ask the state legislature to approve the alienation so that the village can then proceed with its plans to use Lola Prentice Park for wastewater treatment purposes. On January 8th, 2019, Supreme Court Justice David Riley issued an order enjoining the village, stating that requiring the village to use and administer, I'm actually quoting from the language, to use and administer Lola's Prentice Park for educational or recreational use only and for no other purpose. And, close quote, and further ordered that the use of, quote, all or any portion of the park for any other purpose is prohibited. I filed a copy of the order with you earlier today, which is self-explanatory. I submit that the adoption of the resolution before the board today would be in direct violation of that judicial order, and request that the board not take any action in furtherance of any plan to alienate Lola Prentice Park, including but not limited to, for purposes of allowing the siting, the siting and construction of wastewater treatment facilities on that ground. That concludes my remarks, if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this topic?
Sure, I'll speak.
Okay.
Good evening. Hello, my name is John English. I'm a homeowner and resident on Windmill Lane, adjacent to the proposed leaching fields on the treatment facility on Lola Prentice Park that Anton just mentioned. I want to begin by saying I do not believe this proposal to construct a wastewater treatment facility at this location has been advanced in good faith. Most importantly, there's an outstanding permanent injunction, as previously stated, requiring this parcel of land to remain a park. Moving forward with a proposal that conflicts with that restriction is in clear violation of this injunction and therefore the law. Beyond that, as a community member, the process itself feels rushed. Many nearby residents only became aware of this proposal very recently. For a project with potentially significant environmental, health, and quality of life implications, the community deserves a transparent process and sufficient time for review and input. There also has not been adequate discussion of the environmental and public health impacts associated with placing a wastewater facility in the center of our village. This is a beautiful community, and we should carefully consider whether this is truly the most appropriate location for this type of infrastructure. Finally, at the last meeting, several supporters emphasized that this facility could enable additional development, business, and housing in the village. Those aspirations cannot come at the expense of the residents who already live here. The interests of current homeowners and the character of our village must be the first priority. I purchased a home in this area in anticipation of my family being able to enjoy this park in this specific location. For all of those reasons, I urge the village to stop this proposal and consider alternative locations that would better protect our community.
Thank you very much.
And unless you have any questions, my partner and also homeowner, Stephanie Erjavik, was not able to make it because of travel things. Can I read a statement from her as well?
As long as we're within 3 minutes.
You got a minute and 15 seconds left.
Oh, I thought per person it was.
Well, she's not here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Stephanie Erjavik, and I live with my partner at 205B Windmill Lane, 150 feet from Lola Prentice Park. I have a PhD in genetics and currently work with pharmaceutical companies to accelerate oncology clinical trials. I therefore am deeply familiar with the role environmental exposures play in developing cancer and other diseases. Peer-reviewed articles in scientific journals have published the documented health concerns associated with the living in close proximity to wastewater treatment facilities, including higher rates of skin, GI, neurological, and musculoskeletal conditions in nearby communities. Furthermore, the proposed leaching fields are touching our dear neighbors' backyards, returning the treated, in quotes, wastewater back into the soil next to our homes. Treated wastewater is known to contain carcinogens, forever chemicals, PFAs, residual pharmaceuticals, all being released right into the backyards where our families live and play. We may all debate the odor or property value, but the cancer-causing effects of the treatment chemicals and negative health impacts of the facility are not for debate. It has been empirically demonstrated in multiple studies. None of us chose to put down roots next to an industrial wastewater facility. Adding one next to us now, exposing us to harmful toxins, is unethical. Thank you, gentlemen.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Sir.
Good evening. My name is Joe Greth. My family and I are full-time residents of the village and have been homeowners here since 2009. We vote here, we live here year-round. We're proud to be part of this special community. a special community that has long enjoyed an exceptional quality of life. My wife, our sons, and many members of our family have been frequent users of Prentice Park for nearly 17 years. We're also active members of the coalition that you're hearing from tonight opposing this proposed water treatment facility. Our coalition is united, committed, and well-resourced to ensure that this project does not move forward. We respectfully ask the trustees to cease this effort. Our voices will be heard tonight, and they will continue to be heard until this proposal is stopped. Speaking personally, I'm deeply disappointed by the lack of transparency from this board. The community has received little meaningful disclosure, and there's been no genuine effort to involve residents in this decision. To many of us, the actions of the board thus far suggest a process that has not been conducted in good faith. The loss of a usable community park is incredibly disappointing and gives the impression of a take-it-or-leave-it approach from the 7 of you. That is not how a village or a community should operate. Where is the transparency on environmental issues? Where are the environmental impact studies? How many environmental consultants have been engaged, and where are these reports? Replacing this park somewhere else does not compensate for the loss of this specific and treasured place. Relocating this park next to a sewage treatment facility is not a real solution. Who in their right mind would want their children, their grandchildren, neighbors, friends, pets playing next to a sewage treatment facility? I don't. Can't imagine anybody here would. We respectfully ask the board to pursue alternative solutions. Residents of the village are willing to help find constructive answers. The current process has created a high level of distrust in the community, distrust that can still be repaired if this plan is halted. The village does not belong to the board. It belongs to the residents who live here, vote here, and care deeply about its future. I encourage you to listen carefully to all of us. Do not destroy what makes this community special. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Good evening, Mayor and trustees. I'm Erica Greff. I'm Joe's wife. And as he mentioned, we've been Southampton residents for over 15 years. Everyone in this room wants cleaner water and responsible growth, but the solution should not be turning a popular neighborhood park into a sewer plant. What makes Lola Prentice valuable is that the basketball courts, the open space, and the dog park all come together in one united place. If the dog park is relocated, the park stops functioning as a shared gathering place. People end up in smaller pockets instead of one common space, and the everyday interactions that make this park a real community begin to disappear. My second concern is impact. Residents are being told the facility will be small, landscaped, odorless, and largely invisible, but it is still a sewer plant. That means pumps, mechanical equipment, odor control, backup generators, and service vehicles moving in and out of the site. Even well-run facilities experience odor releases, equipment failures, and operational problems. When those problems occur in an industrial area, they're a nuisance. But when they occur in the heart of the village, they affect the quality of life. My third concern is the timing of this. This Lola Prentice location was only revealed publicly a few weeks ago. For a decision that permanently changes the use of a widely used long-standing park, the community deserves more time to consider the long-term quality of life, environmental, and health consequences. Those issues matter because this plant is expected to expand substantially in 3 phases. Residents deserve to know what that full build-out will look like before the location is approved. The problems with this plan are straightforward. The location is wrong, the impact is permanent, and the decision feels rushed. Decisions like these deserve more time and careful consideration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes, please. Hello, good evening. My name is Jason Berg. My family lives at 217 Windmill Lane. I was very surprised and concerned to hear about the Board of Trustees meeting in February to discuss the proposed alienation of Lola Prentice Park in conjunction with the building of a wastewater treatment plant. I was even more concerned to see yesterday that today's agenda was updated after the submission deadline to include board approval to move forward with this plan. With regard to the park, my children and I, as well as many other neighbors, frequently play in that park along with the adjacent parkland right next door. So, it's not just right there, that's affected. It's the park right next door to it that's also affected. It will be really a great loss to our family and undoubtedly others if that park is alienated, even if another park is established elsewhere. I've long been under the impression that the park was protected, not only by its original grant and subsequent agreements going back to Lola Prentice herself, but also by the court injunction that Mr. Borovina mentioned, obtained by our neighbors to protect the park when it came under threat several years ago. The historic nature of this park is also uniquely important. It's located in the historic district for now, and it was the site of a Revolutionary War British fort from 1777, as the sign directly in front of it talks about. And when I moved here, I was like, wow, that's so cool. This is amazing. It's somewhat ironic that the village is attempting to take this action during the 250th anniversary of the founding of the country, and given the significance of the site, that was even highlighted in a social media post by the Village Historical Society just not too long ago, I think maybe like a month or two ago. And it was a really pretty picture of the park. Secondly, with regard to the treatment plant, in watching the video of last month's presentation, it seems that the best case or blue sky scenarios were presented, and not enough consideration has been given to account for what could go wrong with such a system. If it goes offline, will the entire business district effectively have to be closed until it's repaired? I once had a manure treatment facility go offline for 18 months. That was no fun for that investment, I'll tell you that. Let's see. Or alternatively, will untreated effluent be discharged somewhere? What will be done about other potential issues? I can think of many. We don't have time here today. Although the current legacy system unquestionably has problems, is a more distributed, updated system a better answer along the lines of what Shippies has done successfully? Rather than having all of our eggs in one basket with a system with a single point of failure, as well as massive construction disruption, every road in downtown is going to be torn up for how long with this process? It sounds like a nightmare, given the traffic we already have.
I just want to say you got 10 seconds.
Okay,
left.
finally, I'm concerned about the broader long-term impacts. This is not really about Lake Agawam. It's unleashing significant development in the area, along with likely increased taxes, worse traffic, and more crowding in the village center and at the beach. We should really consider this. Thank you.
We're going to wrap up.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry.
Thank you very much.
Took
Thank
me
you.
longer than I expected.
Thank you.
I just want to make a couple quick clarifications. One is I'm a liaison to the sewer committee along with trustees Ananti. I'm not aware of any future expansion that's included in this proposal so far.
It's on the thing. There's a little box for expansion.
That's a requirement under Suffolk County Department of Health Services Code. You have to have expansion. It's a requirement that they have. There are no plans to put in a plant and expand it.
If there were to be future expansion, would you need to get additional approval?
Yeah.
So you couldn't unilaterally expand?
Correct.
Well, we hope you don't do anything.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
All right, wait, no, we can't have back and forth. We can't have back and forth like this. And there are other people that want to speak.
The other thing I wanted to clarify is that development is controlled by a zoning code. And so this, creating a sewer district or a plant of this type is not going to, in of itself, create any development opportunities that don't exist in the code already.
Okay. You're next.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, I'll introduce myself. I'm Sharon Stern. I'm a full-time resident here. I live on Cooper's Farm. I've lived here since, I don't know, it's over 10 years, I think since 2013. I've lived in the Hamptons for over 20 years. And this was a choice. This is a lifestyle choice. This is about living in a community that offers a way to live that's not New York. It's not Nassau County. It's not Queens. We are special. We have something here that people want. They covet it. They will protect it. They move here and become residents to vote here. I vote here. Many of these people vote here, and we care. And I will tell you, hearing that this particular parcel was subject to litigation and was supposed to be educational and recreational only and isn't going to be under this plan is very disappointing. That's number one. Number two, it's America's 250th year this year. We're celebrating our existence and never more. And this is a revolutionary fort site with a cemetery below. We're putting a sewage plant on our revolutionary fort. And I'll tell you, you guys are trying to expand the historic district. Well, that's great, but we also saw somewhere there's an application to remove this site from the historic register. This inconsistency is so disdainful. I had to get up. You know, I'm not normally a person who gets up. I'm not that person, but frankly, this was a trigger. And I wouldn't do this if I didn't feel I had to. Finally, you're talking about the future, and it got going on and on. Future development. I have to tell you, everybody I've spoken to across the country, you open this door and it opens the door wide. It is not limited. Every single time I've been warned by so many people in the real estate business nationally, be aware this is the gateway to something you didn't intend. This is the story of unintended consequences. And to the point of the medical experts and the people living next door, the health concerns, if something goes wrong, and this plant has to run properly every single day, 365 days into perpetuity. We know that that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen with a cell phone. Every single property, every single thing we touch technologically has failures. And this failure in one spot that shuts down the business district, that jeopardizes health and environment and all these different things, gee whiz, guys, we know better. We're not kids anymore, and we know what's going to happen. And I don't like it, and I think many of my neighbors don't either.
We're at
Finally,
2:45, I'm sorry.
that's okay. We talked about a tax levy and making sure we don't hit it. Trust me, we're going to hit it. This is expensive to run. We need a lot of vigilance. There are going to be trucks. We need day-to-day people there every single day making sure there are no failures. This will cost, and it will cost us all. And finally, to the
we're
point
at
about
3:05.
shippies, they did something, and they were able to make a plant, something work.
Okay.
Decentralized might be other technologies.
We
Please
have to
consider
wrap up.
them.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Mr. Rung?
David Rung, Pleasant Avenue. My comments have to do with the proposal to extend the mayor's and trustees' terms from 2 years to 4 years. So let's understand why this issue is before us. The part-time wealthy Southampton property owners want to continue their exploitation of the rest of us, but now they want to pay 1/2 of their campaign funding costs. Why are the campaign costs of candidates of the wealthy so expensive? It's because they rely on paid professionals to harvest absentee ballots of these part-time property owners. These professionals also get absentee ballots of the property owners' children, workers, and staff who are immorally registered as village voters. And what do these wealthy then expect as a quid pro quo for the payment of these campaign costs? Every year, the wealthy steal millions of dollars from the full-time residents of lower valued properties. And that is because the wealthy owners are given assessed values which allows them to pay 1/3 of the village taxes that some residents of Hillcrest and other lower valued properties pay. When owners of lower valued properties file grievances and ask to be treated the same as Meadow Lane properties, this administration just fully denies those grievances. According to this administration, low assessed values are only for the wealthy, and fairness is always denied. In the last 2 years, with shorter terms, we have been able to elect Ed Simeone and Rob Coburn as independent trustees. The rest of us have been refused by this board, who refuses to even tell us how assessed values are determined. And another example of the complete disrespect of this board for the residents. So we need shorter terms because it facilitates the ability to get independent voices on the board. Just to reinforce this, I would offer you that in today's Wall Street Journal, on the front page, there's an article,
We're at 250.
Ultra-Wealthy Fund Campaigns with Cash Steering Elections. And that's what's happening in spades in Southampton Village. I would encourage those of you to read my letter to
We're
this
at
board
305.
and my letter to the press. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Michael?
Hello, Michael Cinder, 36 Pulaski Street. Just a couple of brief miscellaneous comments. One on extending the terms. I think the letters pretty much put forth the arguments, both pro and con. There was good arguments on either side, but I think on balance, as I said in my letter, I think we ought to keep things the way they are. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The other thing I would mention, I personally think it's actually in the interest of the existing board members to keep things the way they are, for a variety of reasons, many of which I don't understand. There are a lot of concerns in this village about good faith, transparency, and all these kinds of issues. And I just think you could put that all to rest if you drop this. So not only do I think it's in some of the residents' interest, I think it's in you guys' interest just to maintain a good support among the community at large. So I would urge you to take that into consideration before you vote on this proposal. Secondly, on sort of a more bold sort of thing, as a result of the storms recently, there's been a lot of wreckage at various parts in the village. Some people talk about some of the trees. I've noticed a lot of the surfacing of the roads, which, you know, the village did such a great job on over the last few years of resurfacing so many of the roads. And I know on my street, just for example, in Pulaski Street, there's now a lot of cracks have appeared in those beautifully paved roads, including right in front of my house. So I don't know if there was a plan at some point when we get beyond all this bad weather to have the transportation department, whoever, to kind of go around and see whether they can fix some of that stuff, because it's a shame.
They are going to do that.
Okay, because
Yeah.
the roads were so beautiful and now they're kind of crapped up.
Yeah.
We had what engineers call a super freeze event. The length of the duration of the very cold temperatures, some people may have noticed this, actually pushed the ground up 2 to 3 inches in some places. Because of the formation of ice, water expands as it freezes.
Exactly.
And when it freezes down 30 inches, which is what it did, it just heaved the roads.
Well, that'd be great. The community would really appreciate it because, again, everything was so nice and now it's kind of all crapped up. The last thing I've just mentioned, without taking a particular position on it, I understand why folks in the community that live near the proposed new sewer site are so concerned about it. In fact, when they were talking about other places, you know, I was concerned about it as well. But one point I think I would make to those of you that you might want to consider is there is, in fact, right now, as Trustee Coburn pointed out at the last meeting, there's a treatment plant already in existence in the heart of Southampton. It's right next to Southampton Hospital. It's smaller. It's a lot smaller. It's a lot smaller.
Apples and oranges.
But, well, it's not apples and oranges.
Wait, we cannot have discussions like this.
Address the board. Address the
No,
board.
no, okay.
Let's address the
You're
board.
to address the board, but we're not going to have back and forth. Thank you.
All I was going to say is, if you may want to take a walk by there and talk to the neighbors there. Talk to the neighbors and see whether they've had problems. I just think you owe it to yourselves to do that.
Thank you, Michael. Is it, yeah, well, actually, if there's someone in the room, though, Mr. Bragman, yeah.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and board members. I'm actually here to listen, but as a lawyer, I have to make some comment, of course. I actually just have a question for the board, and it relates to these issues of process and transparency. Has the board commenced an environmental review under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA? Have
So
you?
this isn't a question and answer period. This is
Well, that would be my question, and it happens to also be an answer to a lot of the concerns raised by neighbors who feel that there hasn't been adequate transparency. And my only remark is that I saw a press release from, I guess it was before or after February 12th, which was an announcement that the village had neared the finish line on the project, and it recited all the, the positive input it's gotten from a variety of departments. But under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, the board is enjoined to begin its review process as early as possible in the development of the project. And the policy behind that is that the drafters understood that projects, particularly ones endorsed by a municipality, get ahead of steam, and the train starts pulling out of the station. And so it requires you to begin the environmental review early so that we can be sure that environmental concerns are dealt with the same degree of interest as the other issues that may have motivated the creation of the project. So if the board hasn't started the secret process, I think the record should reflect that the statement that you're near the finish of the project is a little disconcerting to those of us who do a lot of work in secret, and I would urge you to start that process promptly. It will provide not only transparency, but a format and a structure to answer all these questions. And this is more than just the wastewater treatment, because if I understood your engineer's report, there will be grinding stations all through the business district. It's a fairly complicated plan with extensive excavation. So I would urge you to start that process at once. Thank you.
Thank you. Legislator Welker.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name's Ann Welker. I'm Suffolk County Legislator for the 2nd District, the towns of East Hampton and most of the town of Southampton. But I'm also here this evening as a decades-long member of Surfrider. As stated previously, Skip the Stuff has been passed locally in East Hampton Village as well as in Sag Harbor Village. But it's also been put in place in New York City, and just as recently as January of 2026 in the entire state of New Jersey. With this passage of this law, there are economic benefits to businesses as well as environmental benefits, but enforcement is always a question. And upon my review of the bills that were passed in both New York City and in New Jersey, they staggered it, so there was a rollout period. In New Jersey, 6 months, and in New Jersey they mandated that there was public education during that 6 months, so that the public became aware, the business owners became aware, and I think we can look to that as an example of how we might be able to move forward. When the law went into effect, initially, violators were issued warnings, not ticketing. So it was a gentle way to move into it. The legislation that is in place in New Jersey, the public education part of it, spoke to the benefits of the reduction in the use of single-use plastics and just everything that we know that was previously stated during the presentation about plastics and their use in our society. The Suffolk County Legislature, about a year and a half ago, put forward Skip the Stuff legislation. Unfortunately, it failed to move forward to become law. But with the passage of legislation now in East Hampton Village, in Sag Harbor Village, and hopefully in Southampton Village, you will act as leaders so that others may follow. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ann. Anyone else like to speak? And Sage, we have to check who's online. Oh, sorry, sir. You can go before we get the people online. You're going to tell me who's online, Sage, after this gentleman. You got 5 people online? Okay.
Vinnie McGann, Robinson Road, North Sea. I'm a longtime member of Surfrider, so I'm glad we circled back to this. You guys are dealing with heavy issues here, and this is somewhat lighter, and it's very much remediable with easy and economical steps. So, Trustee Stevenson, Administrator, board members, thank you for your time. A couple of things. They've covered all the details. I'd like to take a step back and give you a broader overview for the cameras and for the record. So I first became aware, and my interest in doing this, it's self-enlightened. I want to leave a better world for my daughter. then, and this is a simple step that can happen and we can achieve without too much sacrifice. No sacrifice and only benefit. So I first became aware of this issue about 7 years ago, and it was through two films, and I'm going to mention them for the record and so that the board has this. The first one is Plastic Smog, and it was thoughtful, well done, educational, and the last 10 minutes were upbeat, which is a good thing in this day and age. Secondly is Plastic Oceans, and it's one of the most depressing things I've ever seen. It's recently, probably 2025, very, very dark and difficult. But again, the last 5 minutes, they proposed a few solutions. So there's a positive effect. There's 1,000 pieces of microplastic in you, and you, and you, and you. 25 to 100 of them are in my brain. And it's because we eat fish, we breathe the air we do, et cetera, et cetera. And the Skip the Stuff is a first step for us to be included in the leading charge of what Sag Harbor and East Hampton have done, as well as other communities throughout the states, California obviously being a leader. We can be leading that charge. Finally, and a quick mention if I have the time. I come before the board completely unprepared, and this is extemporaneous in that I just found out about this. And I've done it before, and I apologize for not being a little more cogent. Finally, there can't be any financial hardship in this happening if we want it to be successful. There has to be financial benefit, and there will be. You've heard some of the details, and there's a lot more info that can be discovered about that. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Ma'am, sorry, yeah.
Good evening. My name is Suzanne Jansen, and I am a community member and would like to speak to you about Skip the Stuff. A lot of the details have been talked about, but I have to tell you I'm a numbers person, and I like statistics, so you'll hear a couple of them tonight. As a society, we actively seek strategies to reduce single-use plastic waste, which contributes to the clogging of landfills. Single-use plastics are the most prevalent type of litter found on streets and waterways. In 2024, the Clean Water Action Group reported that takeout food single-use plastics are the primary source of ocean litter, accounting for 49% of the total debris. Globally, 33 billion metric tons of plastic waste enter our oceans annually, which is the equivalent of 2 garbage trucks dumping into the ocean every minute. This figure is projected to grow to double by 2050. Southampton Township experiences approximately 100,000 seasonal visitors during peak southern months, and it could be higher. These visitors contribute to an increase in plastic waste, necessitate enhanced sanitation measures, and elevate waste management expenses. The Skip the Stuff initiative requires behavioral change, yes it does, which can be achieved through increased awareness of codes, regulations, and education. It is not insurmountable to learn. We have already successfully eliminated plastic bags, straws, styrene, stirrers, and balloons. The Skip the Stuff initiative has demonstrated its effectiveness in benefiting both communities and restaurant owners. Communities have experienced improved environmental cleanliness, while restaurants have benefited from a reduction in overhead expenses. Skip the Stuff has proven to be a mutually advantageous solution. I respectfully request that you seriously consider the initiative. We have to start somewhere, and we have to stop plastics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Sage, he's left the room. Anyone else wish to be heard? Sage, we need you to go to the videotape, yeah. Okay, you may go ahead. You're on the screen now. We can't hear you. I'm not sure if you're muted. Blaze, you can go ahead and speak now, but we can't hear you. We may have to go to the next person, Sage.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can. Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, great. My name is Blaise Labriola. My wife is Princess Yasmin Aga Khan. We live at 94 White Street in the village of Southampton. Members of the board, there is already a standing Suffolk County Supreme Court order requiring Lola Prentice Park to be used only for educational or recreational purposes. And that order binds the village and its officials and employees. You cannot vote your way around a court order. This is not merely a policy choice or a political disagreement. It is a question of whether this board will knowingly act in defiance of a standing judicial mandate. You have already been given written notice that proceedings would violate that injunction. Under New York law, civil contempt can mean fines, costs, indemnification for actual loss, and even imprisonment. If you proceed tonight, you will be doing so knowingly after written notice and in the shadow of contempt. A municipality cannot legalize conduct by local vote when a court has already forbidden that conduct. The vote might show your political intent, but it does not erase, amend, or suspend the order. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Sage, we should go to the next individual online. Okay. Meg, please go ahead.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. My name is Meg and I live on Windmill Lane. My husband, our children, and I truly love the community. We value living here every season and appreciate the safety, the character of the neighborhood, and the time and effort that each of you puts into serving the residents of this town. My husband and I are raising a 7-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. When we made the decision to invest in our home a few years ago and our future here, we did so based on the understanding that the land use rules in this town were clear, stable, and would be upheld. One of those rules is not simply a policy preference or a planning guideline. It is a legal injunction, as mentioned several times tonight, that was issued in 2019, stating that the land currently used for the park must remain a park. That injunction existed before we purchased our home. It was part of the legal framework that gave our family confidence to put down roots here. The proposal being discussed tonight would move that park and replace the protected land with a water and sewage treatment facility. As currently proposed, leaching fields could be located roughly 30 feet from my children's front door. This is not a minor adjustment. It is a fundamental change to land, a court that has already ruled that it must remain a park. It would place a sewage facility directly adjacent to homes where families live and children grow up. As parents, we cannot ignore what that means. We cannot ignore the potential health risks, environmental concerns, the impact on property values, or the long-term consequences of the entire neighborhood. But beyond those impacts is an even larger issue: trust. Residents must be able to rely on court orders. Homeowners must be able to rely on land use protections. If a park protected by an injunction can simply be relocated, then the protection that injunction provides becomes meaningless. Tonight, I am not asking for a delay or for additional study. I am asking for leadership and accountability. I am asking this board to make a clear commitment that a park protected by an injunction will not be moved in order to make way for a sewage treatment facility. This decision will set an important precedent. It will tell every current and future resident whether legal protections in the town are real and dependable. My family has invested in this community financially, emotionally, and as parents raising very young children. We are simply asking you to uphold the rule of law, protect the integrity of this neighborhood, and make a decision that reflects long-term responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Could
Meg.
you state your last name for the record?
Fleischut. Fleischut. Thank you.
Okay, Sage. You may go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Shin. I'm a Southampton Village resident living on Windmill Lane. And as we heard from the Skip the Stuff presentation, how alarming are the statistics on the contamination problems that have occurred, no matter how well-intentioned we've been. We need to be very wary of the potential risks that can be irreversible. When I became a Southampton resident, I was grateful for that public access to Lola Prentice Memorial Park, giving us all that permanent green space that would ensure that peaceful and charming nature of Southampton that we all love. I have 2 young children. I have had these dreams of them growing up strong and volunteering at the ambulance center and the fire station. As voting residents, we trusted the village to protect the space under the very strict legal framework set forth by that generous donation of this park. This park was donated under the condition that this property be used as a public park for recreation and educational uses only. And most importantly, to prevent this exact scenario where the village is violating its agreement by repurposing it for non-recreational municipal use. This was already settled in 2019. 7 years later today, the village not only violates the original agreement, but also the 2019 ruling. The motive behind pushing for non-recreational municipal sewer use is to develop an already saturated downtown. The village desires to overdevelop the downtown Southampton area to further increase congestion and pollution. Furthermore, the village has not done their due diligence to creatively brainstorm best practices for updating any dilapidated business infrastructures. There is really no need to destroy a green space to fix another polluted problem like Agawam Lake. I would love for my boys to be safe and walk into the village through that green space and go to the toy store. There can be independent standalone solutions that will localize potential disasters rather than affect entire neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shin. Next online, Sage, please. Thank you. Oh, really? Okay, Deborah, you may go ahead.
Oh, hi, can you hear me all right?
Yes, we can.
Hi, I spoke at the last meeting when this proposal about the sewage treatment plant was first brought up. I still feel like there was a limited time period for a lot of the people of Southampton to opine on this whole project. So I think you should really extend the discussion. I'm still opposed to this project. I still can't believe you're putting a sewage treatment plant in the middle of our historic village across from the cemetery on a historic park and right next to the library where all the children are going and all the people in the village love to stay and have green space. So I would propose to you that you're being very short-sighted in what you're looking at. And I don't understand why all the villages in Southampton Township are not working together. Like, for example, Hampton Bays and yourself. So, for example, the Southampton Hospital is supposed to be moving to the Stony Brook campus. They are going to need a huge sewage treatment plant there. There's a lot of land there. Why don't you talk to them about a sewage treatment plant there? Because Shinnecock Bay also has sewage problems, and that has not been addressed either. It's not just like Agawam, it's also the other waters around Southampton. So again, I'm totally opposed to this. I think it's really not well thought out. And I think you should talk to some of the other townships, such as Hampton Bays as well, who's also planning a sewage treatment plant in the village that a lot of people oppose to, and try to come up with a more concerted discussion about all of this. So again, I really am opposed to this. And I'm at 148 Cooper's Farm Road. I'm a little further away from everyone, but again, my kids grew up growing here, going through the parks, playing at the dog park. I had 2 black labs, and I can't believe that you're just going to make it a sewage treatment plant right in the middle of the village. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sage, do you have anyone else?
Yep, 3 more.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Sorry for the delay. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Peter Fleischut. My wife and Megan just spoke. Bluntly, there's no better village in the world. We absolutely love this place, and I deeply respect what you do for the community and understand how hard these decisions are to create. Personally, I'm willing to help in any way with any other solutions at any other locations. I truly know how hard what you're trying to do is when you're trying to solve for a lot of different variables. Like my wife said, we absolutely love living here. We chose this village very intentionally. We have 2 children ages 7 and 10, and we invest in this community not just as homeowners, but frankly as parents who want stability, safety, and a predictable future for our family. When we bought the home in 2023, we looked at the zoning, we looked at the surrounding land uses, and we understood at that time that there was this injunction in place stating that the land was meant to be used for a park and to remain a park. It mattered to us. It really influenced our decision. Now we're facing this proposal that would move a park that is legally protected with an injunction and replace that land with a sewage treatment facility. This would basically put leaching fields approximately 30 feet from my front door that my kids walk out of.
We just lost you, Mr. Fleischut. You just went on mute or something.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yep. And, yep. So, and it's very close. In addition to the injunction, frankly, my wife and I have spent the better part of our whole careers basically saving people's lives.
Mr. Fleischut, it's not coming through very clearly. You're breaking up a lot.
Sorry, it's just hard to get through it. Basically, my wife and I have spent our whole lives saving people's lives. We've devoted ourselves to it. A sewage treatment facility placed in such close proximity to homes raises serious concerns. Environmental safety, quality safety, noise, odor, traffic, long-term property value impacts. These are not abstract fears. These are permanent changes that affect families. As I mentioned, we literally have spent our whole lives trying to protect people from cancer and other conditions. And I understand there's no perfect place. It's always close to someone's home. But as someone stated earlier, maybe there's other ways, other solutions, longer piping that I'm willing to help to come to a solution for everyone. We are proud to be part of the community. We want to continue investing our time and energy and future here. And we want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Someone's texting me because they're trying to get on. I don't know. Are you seeing anybody else on the line?
There should be Lindy getting.
And then Allison?
We have a Grace. Please go ahead, Grace.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now, yes.
Okay, sorry. My name is Allison Sharenga. One of my daughters, Grace,
Oh, okay.
had taken over my computer during COVID, and her name is still attached to it. I have yet to get it off, but it's on my to-do list. I have owned in Southampton since 2000. And on Cooper's Farm Road for over 20 years. I raised both of my daughters there in Southampton and New York City, but a lot of time we spend in Southampton. A sewage treatment facility, much like the one you are proposing, was put in near our home in Florida, and it smells. There is no way around the smell. When I drive by in my car, the smell seeps in. Imagine living nearby that. I won't repeat the health concerns that many people here tonight have stated. They are my concerns as well. These plans were brought to my attention very recently, and many of my friends in the area don't even know about this. I do not agree to the way or how you're going about passing this project. I am completely against it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Allison. One more, Sage, please. Are they there, Sage?
Yeah, they're coming.
Okay. Okay, it looks like we have Linda.
Hi,
Hi.
can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
My name is Linda Gilliam. My mom is Florence Etheridge. She lives at 205A Windmill Lane. My mom has lived in that area between 215 and 205 for the majority of her life. She's 87 and probably 85 of her years have been in that area. I grew up there. For 25 years I lived there, and I live in Southampton town still. And I'm just concerned for my mom. She has no intention of going anywhere right now, so living so close to a facility like this is a concern for me too. A health concern as well as an environmental concern. I grew up there, and when I was growing up there, there was a park. There was a very nice park right there next to our house, and we'd play in there all the time. There was a skating rink. They would fill it with water in the winter, and we would skate there also. That was behind the park. It was a very nice area. A lot of young people from the village, White Street, Pelstrel Street, Hillcrest, Miller Road. We all played there. It was a very nice place to just hang out, and there was never, as far as I know, any destruction or crimes there. It was a very nice place to go. But like everyone else has said, the park was designated for recreation and education, and I'm concerned about the injunction from 2019 being violated. And I just agree with many of the other speakers that this is something that is going to impact the whole village, not just us who live next door to it. And I'm certain it's going to affect our taxes in some way, and it's going to be very costly. So on behalf of my mom, Florence Etheridge, I just want to say that I just have a lot of concerns, and I just think we need more information on this total project before moving ahead. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Linda. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Sage?
That's all I have.
All right. Anyone else in the room?
Bill, could I just ask, just for clarification, so many comments on the sewer system. There was a comment that this park was donated. That wasn't my understanding. Is there a clarification on whether the park was donated or purchased by the village?
I don't know if it was donated or purchased, but it was done by a bargain and sale deed back in 1952, I think, and there's no restriction in that deed. 62, okay, and there's no restriction in that deed.
And the school district.
Between the village and the school district?
Yes, the school district deeded it directly to the village.
Okay. And can you give any guidance for us here on the board regarding this injunction and what it means for us?
That lawsuit, that injunction dates back to, I think it was 2019. I did look at the papers today when I learned about it. That lawsuit was over the village using the park for non-park purposes without the benefit of state legislation authorizing the alienation of parkland. This is completely different because we're going to the state to alienate the parkland, so that court order won't be relevant.
Okay. Another one. Okay. Okay. Don't leave for too long, Roy.
Look back.
Didn't he already speak?
He did.
Well, he can't come in again if he already spoke. We're going to go around in circles here. All right, thank you. All right, well, so I will, unless there are any final public comment, I'm gonna close the public comment period, and we'll go to suggested resolutions. So Len, why don't you lead us off here?
Okay, resolution number 1, resolve the claims for the warrant dated March 12, 2026 totaling $2,073,103.30, warrant number A18 general, and $12,091.87, warrant number H11 capital are audited and approved. I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 2, resolve the reading of the minutes for the February 25th, 2026 Board of Trustee meeting is dispensed, accepted as filed by the village clerk, hereby ratified and approved. I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, whereas the Village of Southampton Board of Trustees believes it is in the best interest of the village to amend the rules and regulations pertaining to outdoor sidewalk dining licenses, and whereas the Village Board of Trustees intends to amend the code so such amendments become a part of the code and are readily available to anyone who consults the code, and whereas such code amendments will not be completed until after the start date for outdoor dining, and whereas A-122-21 of the Village Code authorizes the village to amend such rules and regulation by resolution, and whereas the Village Board of Trustees believes it is in the best interest of the village to amend the rules and regulations immediately so they are in effect for the entire season, now therefore be resolved. The rules and regulations contained in Southampton Village Code 122-2A are hereby amended to make clear that no business shall be eligible for an outdoor sidewalk dining license unless and until the business has a valid certificate of occupancy for the premises, which includes indoor dining, and be it further resolved, the rules and regulations contained in Southampton Village Code 122-5 are hereby amended to require the license holder to maintain an unobstructed sidewalk width of at least 3 feet alongside the curb for pedestrian use of the village sidewalk wherever on-street parking is present, and be it further resolved, the rules and regulations contained in Southampton Village Code 122-6 are hereby amended to require that umbrellas not encroach on the pedestrian walkway or unobstructed sidewalk areas, and to clarify that umbrella stands or bases that may present a tripping hazard are not permitted, And be it further resolved, the rules and regulations contained in Southampton Village Code 122-11 are hereby amended to require that sidewalk dining areas be cleaned weekly or as directed by the village. And be it further resolved, the rules and regulations contained in Southampton Village Code 122-17 are hereby amended to require that the sidewalk dining license and accompanying seating plan be prominently displayed on the premises of the licensed business at all times while the license is in effect. And be it further resolved that the amendments to the rules and regulations pertaining to outdoor sidewalk dining licenses set forth shall take effect immediately. I'll make the motion.
I will second. All in
And
favor?
I'd just like to make a discussion, because we had some correspondence on this. I think the vast majority of our businesses who take advantage of this do a very, very good job. And those who don't, from time to time, I think it's just oversight. But we did have some instances last summer of poor access and tripping hazards and basically some hazardous conditions that we're just trying to address primarily with these changes. So that's the reason for doing it. It's not meant as a criticism of outdoor dining. It's a great benefit to the village. We all enjoy it. Our visitors enjoy it. It's just to make sure that the conditions are safe. Thanks.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, Rob.
Okay, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5 C21 of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law Article 8 is necessary. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-person Zoom meeting on April 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Village Hall Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, New York, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 8, 122, the Village Code, Outdoor Sidewalk Dining Rules and Regulations, by amending rules and regulations, and be it further resolved that the clerk is hereby authorized and directed to publish and post the following notice of public hearing. Please take notice that a public hearing shall be held as a hybrid in-Zoom meeting April 9th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Village Meeting Room at the Southampton Village Hall located at 23 Main Street, Southampton, New York, 11968, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed local law entitled A Local Law Amending Chapter 8, 122, the Village Code, Outdoor Sidewalk Dining Rules and Regulations. I'll make that motion. Copies of the proposed law sponsored by myself, Trustee Rob Coben, are on file in the Village Clerk's office Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I'll make the motion.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
Number 5, whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering adoption of a local law for the fiscal year commencing June 1, 2026, authorizing a tax levy in excess of the limit established by the General Municipal Law 3-C, and whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on March 12, 2026, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has determined that this proposed local law is considered a Type 2 action under 6 NYCRR Part 617.5 provisions of the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQRA, and that no further review under New York Environmental Conservation Law, Article 8, is necessary. Now, therefore, be it resolved that local law number 2 of 2026 is hereby adopted. I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering amending Chapter 99 of the Village Code of Southampton Taxation to amend the income levels required for the senior citizen tax exemptions as authorized by Chapter 466 of the New York Real Property Tax Law, and whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on March 12, 2026, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard. Now, therefore, be it resolved that local law number 3 of 2026 is hereby adopted. I make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton is considering adding Chapter 11 to the Village Code of Southampton, amending the terms of office of the village mayor and the village trustees from 2 years to 4 years. And whereas a public hearing was held by the Village Board on February 12, 2026, at which time all persons either for or against said amendment were heard, and Whereas the record on the hearing was kept open until March 12, 2026 to accept any additional written comment either for or against the law. Now therefore be it resolved that local law number 4 of 2026 is hereby adopted. I make this motion with the following understandings: that this resolution will be put before the voters as a referendum in the June 19th of 2026 election, and that per my discussions with the mayor and other board members, that should this resolution pass, the board would consider and strongly endorse term limits being applied to those offices. So I make the motion with those understandings. And perhaps, Mayor, you can elaborate on if there's a second on this motion.
Yeah, I will second, and actually I'll defer to Eileen just so you explain how this actually is going to a mandatory referendum as opposed to a permissive referendum.
Well, under village law, this type of law is subject to a permissive referendum, and there's another provision in village law that authorizes this board to dispense with the need for the public to request the referendum and instead put it up to a vote for themselves. So that's what the board's chosen to do. So this law will be, if it's adopted, it will go to a public referendum on June 19th at the village election. So is that all you wanted, or?
Yeah, no, that's
Okay.
perfect. And we have a motion and a second.
Yep.
And I would, and I would also just like to add first that, I agree with Trustee Stevenson that should this law pass on the 19th, we will work to codify term limits for the trustee and mayor positions. But I will now defer to
Thank you.
Trustee Simeon.
Thank you. I'd like to make a statement. I want to begin by saying that I am not opposed to referendums. They are an important democratic tool when a proposal is well-formed and clearly justified. But tonight, my vote must be based on the content of the resolution before us. In my view, the case for extending village terms from 2 years to 4 has not yet been clearly demonstrated. While longer terms may appear convenient from the standpoint of those holding office, the public benefit has not been clearly demonstrated, and the practical effect would be to reduce how often voters can hold their government accountable. No specific governance problems has been identified that requires altering the system that has served Southampton well for generations. Major initiatives have been completed under 2-year terms, and continuity already exists through professional staff, adopted plans, and staggered offices. At the same time, this proposal would reduce how often voters review performance of their elected officials. In village government, where officials serve closest to residents, that regular accountability is an important part of the system. The level of concern expressed by residents at public hearings also suggests this issue deserves more deliberation. We are also being asked to act quickly to meet a ballot deadline, even though the proposal will not take effect until 2027. And the resolution introduces additional structural changes, including a shift to odd-year elections that deserve fuller examination. Before we reduce how often voters can hold their local government accountable, the case for doing so should be clear and compelling. In my view, that case has not been made for advancing this proposal at this time, and I will be voting no. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Manger. I'd like to make some comments. Administrator Russell mentioned that I had put some correspondence into the file. I just wanted to put that on the record to share my thinking, and that thinking and my analysis of it is informed by dozens of conversations with people over the last couple months. And I address, as I think as exhaustively as I knew how, the various reasons have been put forward in support of this. I agree with Trustee Simeone's comments that to date I've not seen either individually or collectively a compelling need for this, and especially since, and I'll just correct you, Ed, I think it's not due to go into effect until 2028, as it's written today. But, there's time to consider more compelling reasons. But I did want to focus on two of the reasons that have been put forward that do matter to me. And my mind has remained open on this, particularly because of these two reasons. Village politics are divisive, and the argument is by having elections less often that somehow that will reduce that divisiveness. In my experience and my studies, and I have studied this, political divisiveness, or its opposite, political comedy, depends on two factors: the personal tone and style of the candidates and officials, and the policy agenda set by the majority. That's what determines divisiveness or comedy. So those of us concerned about divisiveness in village politics, and I count myself in that group, should focus on those factors. I haven't seen any basis to expect that lengthening terms will change or reduce or eliminate the divisiveness of village politics. The second one I want to focus on, the argument that board continuity will reduce employee uncertainty, this idea, and it's more than an idea, it's a reality that certain appointed positions here in the village require reappointment every year among key officials here in Village Hall. And that naturally makes it susceptible to uncertainty. This is the rationale that I am actually most sensitive to, because it's real and we have some good and valuable employees here. Village employees deserve a stable, professional, and merit-based culture, and shouldn't have to worry that their performance and even their continued employment will be judged according to political whims. I believe this is a valid concern, but I also believe it can be addressed through better training and practices, and I'm committed to doing so. Again, I'm not convinced that this change alone will substantively address that. I would also like to make a motion, which I've discussed with council, and I understand I can because we've discussed this before, to amend this resolution, were it to be accepted, to begin the implementation in 2027, which is how it was originally drafted, rather than delaying it to 2028. But I think I need to make that motion and see if there is a second for consideration of that amendment.
So you would amend it to start it in 2027, and then we would take out the language about the village justice.
Then the
Right.
3-year transition terms would start in 2027, and they would relate to the mayor and 2 trustees, not to the village justice
Correct.
and 2 trustees. And then the 4-year periods would begin in the election in 2028 as opposed to 2029.
Okay.
That
So
would
that's
be
your
the-
motion.
The amendment. That's my motion.
You need a
Is
second.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
All
call
in
for a
favor?
vote, Mr. Mayor.
I'll
I just
call.
have a bit of discussion about that. The reason
Yeah.
that 2028 is a good idea is because in 2026, of course, if we were to do it this year, it would be patently a matter of self-serving, because trustee Zananti and the current trustees would be subject to an extended term at the next election. Similarly, in 2027, Trustee Coburn, the mayor, and I would be eligible for the extended term. So if we were to vote positively for this resolution, it would be seen as self-serving to want to have our terms extended at the next election. By postponing to 2028, it ensures that none of the current board benefits from the extension of the term in their next election. And that's why I think 2028 is important.
For my comment would have been exactly the same thing. There should not be any self-serving action or appearance of self-serving action for this current board and the current incumbents, and that's why I agree with 2028 being the first year that this would be in effect. So that's why I voted against your amendment, Trustee Coburn.
Yep. Well, I don't think we've taken the vote, but I would just, but
That's
you
why I will
will,
vote against it.
apparently. I would just say,
You said you voted no?
I'd respectfully disagree, because I just remind the public and everyone that in any case, anyone sitting up here right now, if they want to run, and if they choose to run, and if they were to be a candidate for re-election, there's an election. The voters will have the ability to decide whether. By the way, there's been a lot of push on this to say that we should do this because the Suffolk County Legislature has done it. They did it, and it started immediately. So that's an interesting hybrid example to look at. But there is an election that will take place. People have the right to factor in a lot of things, including this, and whether they think people are being self-serving or not, and that should all be part of the mix. If we're going to trust the voters in the referendum to make this change or not, or to override it or accept it, I think we should also equally trust them to make intelligent decisions about the candidates who are on the ballot, regardless of when this transition begins. So that I hear the optical arguments. I think that is a creation. I'll just say I think it's an over concern, and it's not something I'm hearing from members of the public as a concern.
I think the Planning Commission did a rather in-depth study of this and had a public meeting and expressed their reasons for beginning in 2028, and the people I'm talking to have agreed with that conclusion. So I think the referendum is the best course of action, and I think 2028 would be make more sense.
And I would just like to say that obviously having a vote at the June election is the most democratic way to determine what the citizens of this village wish for their government. They can vote no and keep it at 2 years, or they can vote yes and we will go to 4-year terms. They've done this in East Hampton, Bellport. There are many other villages that are looking at doing this now. And I do think it matters that the Suffolk County Legislature just did this, as a matter of fact. I would say that when I was talking about divisiveness, I'm talking about a campaign every single year in this village. So, starting April, May, June, every year, you get bombarded with mailers, and they get more and more acrimonious. So if we had it every other year, at least we would only be subject to that every other year. And going back to what Rob said, and this is actually a very important point and sometimes missed by some who aren't aware of the employees that work in Village Hall, and that is every 2 years when the mayor is up for election or re-election, they get very concerned about who the new mayor may be, because as Rob accurately said and stated, there are several key positions in this village that serve at the pleasure of the mayor. And if the mayor changes every 2 years, those employees in the village could be swapped out every 2 years. So having a 4-year term for the mayor would mean that the employees in this village would only be faced with that possibility once every 4 years as opposed to every other year. And that is a very important point that I think all residents in the village should realize, because, for example, I could terminate the attorney, I could terminate the village administrator, I could terminate the clerk.
Sage, you're safe, by the way.
The treasurer.
The treasurer could be terminated. So all of these people have their jobs on the line every 2 years, wondering who will be the mayor of this village. And I can tell you, there have been very contentious times where people were very, very concerned about what may happen to their careers in Southampton Village. And I, for one, believe in the civil service staff in this village, and they deserve to have a bit more of certainty in their positions. So with that being said, I guess we have a motion and a second. We already know that Mr. Simeoni is voting.
Which one are we
We have to
voting on?
vote on the
first we're
amendment.
voting
No, we're voting on the amendment.
The motion to amend.
Yes, the
Right.
amendment. So we know how you're voting, Mr. Simeoni. You voted yes.
Aye.
I already said I voted
Yeah.
no.
Aye, that's my amendment.
I'm voting no. Trustee Stevenson, no.
Okay, so I'll just conclude my remarks. I somewhat expected that I'm open to this idea, and I'm very grateful that this is going to go to a referendum, and I will trust the wisdom of the voters and abide by the decision then, so I applaud that. Unfortunately, by structuring this as a local law subject to permissive referendum, rather than some other mechanisms that might be available, it feels a little heavy-handed to me. And by delaying its implementation for reasons that I still don't understand or I don't agree with, I'll say, we've created a proposal I can't support.
Okay, there's no other mechanism unless you're aware of some. You have to adopt the law to get to the referendum stage. Unless you're aware of something.
That's
I don't know
a
about.
legal matter.
Yeah.
We're doing it this
I'm not aware
way.
of any other mechanism for doing it. If you want to put it to a vote of the voters, you need to adopt it. That's how it works.
Okay, that's what Suffolk County did. They adopted a law and then went on a referendum?
Yes.
All right, so we'll go back to the original motion. Was there a
You have a
second?
motion and a second on
Yes.
yours.
All right, so now we will vote on this one. I vote aye.
Aye.
No.
Aye.
No.
Okay. We'll have a referendum in June. All right, we'll move on now.
Number 8, sorry. Whereas the Village of Southampton is the owner of certain parkland known as Lola Prentice Park, which constitutes a 2.4 acre parcel, currently improved with a 1 acre dog park, a 0.3 acre basketball area, and remaining portions used for parking and unimproved space. And whereas the Village of Southampton is seeking to alienate and discontinue the use of the park for the purpose of constructing a new wastewater treatment facility with leaching fields in the area to improve wastewater treatment capabilities in the area, and whereas a portion of the parcel will remain available for open space, ensuring continued community access and public benefit, whereas as a condition of this alienation, the village will acquire and dedicate new parkland at 135 Windmill Lane, SCTM 904-6-1-4.7, to provide equivalent recreational opportunities. This 1 acre parcel, currently occupied by a commercial structure, is located just 312 feet south of the existing dog park and adjacent to the Rogers Memorial Library. Its central location, proximity to public parking, and connection to other civic amenities make it ideally suited for a new and improved dog park and other outdoor recreational uses. The village also plans to relocate the existing basketball courts to a more accessible location. Collectively, these improvements will ensure that the community retains equal recreational value and public use consistent with the requirements of parkland alienation. And whereas the above is subject to the approval of the Village Board of Trustees and the passage of Bill Number Senate 9364, Assembly 10407, pending before the New York State Legislature, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby supports the passage of Bill Number Senate 9364, Assembly 10407, pending before the New York State Legislature, and respectfully requests that the State Legislature support and adopt said bill. And be it further resolved that the Village Board of Trustees directs the village clerk to provide a copy of this resolution to the governor and legislature, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall become effective immediately. I'll make the motion.
I will second. All in favor?
I'd like to make a conversation.
Yeah.
I have been a member of the sewer task force for the 5 years that I've been volunteering and elected, and appointed and elected as a village official. Along with Trustee Coburn, who's a co-liaison to the committee. We will have on April 18th at 10 a.m. in this room, it's a Saturday morning, a public session to answer some of the issues that were raised tonight. And with all due respect, there were some misstatements made that will be clarified by the engineers and the rest of the committee who will be here. I made the motion, a second.
Okay, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Rob, I think we're back to you maybe.
Okay, sorry. Number 9, resolve the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby authorizes the mayor, subject to the approval of the village attorney, to execute any and all documents pertaining to the 2026 Town of Southampton Community Preservation Fund grant program, to request grant funding to support design engineering services related to the sustainable landscape design for Dozier Park. I'll make the motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
10, resolve the Village Board of the Village of Southampton hereby authorizes the mayor, subject to the approval of the village attorney, to execute any and all documents pertaining to the 2026 Town of Southampton Community Preservation Fund grant program, to request grant funding in support of the village sewer system. I'll make that motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton has identified the enhancement of services, programming, and outreach for senior residents as a priority community initiative. And whereas the board has supported the development and distribution of a comprehensive senior services survey and related engagement efforts to better understand the needs, gaps, and opportunities affecting senior residents within the village. And whereas initial funding is necessary to support costs associated with survey production, printing, mailing, electronic distribution, data collection, analysis, public outreach, and related program development activities. And whereas funding of this initiative is available within the current fiscal year trustees' special projects budget. And whereas the Board of Trustees wishes to formally establish a dedicated budget line item to account for and authorize expenditures related to this initiative. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the establishment of a budget line item titled Senior Services Initiative to be funded from the Trustees Special Projects Account number A 1010.443 for the current fiscal year. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby appropriates the sum of $10,000 to said budget line item account A 7450.47 to support the initial phase of senior services planning, survey distribution, outreach, and related program development. And be it further resolved that the village treasurer is hereby authorized and directed to establish the budget line item and process expenditures from said account consistent with standard village procurement and financial controls. And be it further resolved that any individual expenditure from the Senior Services Initiative budget in the amount of $3,000 or greater shall require prior approval by the Board of Trustees. And be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees may consider allocating funds from trustee special products towards the senior services budget line item in future fiscal year budgets based upon program needs, outcomes, and availability of funds. I make a motion.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roy?
Whereas the Village of Southampton provides emergency medical services for the protection of the health, safety, and welfare of its residents, and whereas the village has received a proposal from Zoll Medical Corporation for the purchase of 5 Xenix monitored defibrillators, including a trade-in allowance for the village's current defibrillators, at a total cost of $285,062.80, and whereas the proposal from Zoll is based upon a contract let by a political subdivision of a state in the U.S., which was awarded to the lowest competitive bidder, and thus complies with the New York State General Municipal Law 103. And whereas Zoll Medical Corporation has further agreed to finance the total purchase price over a 5-year term of 0% interest, resulting in annual payments of $57,012.56. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton hereby determines that the purchase of 5 Xenix monitor defibrillators from Zoll Medical Corporation at a total maximum estimated cost of $285,062.80 after application of all trade-in allowances is necessary and in the best interest of the village. And be it further resolved that the maximum estimated cost of said specific equipment is $285,062.80, and said amount is hereby appropriated therefore, and be it further resolved that said cost shall be financed pursuant to the New York State local finance law through a 5-year installment purchase agreement consistent with the period of probable usefulness at 0% interest, with annual payments of $57,012.56 to be budgeted and appropriated in the village capital budget for fiscal year 2026, 2027, and in each of the 4 fiscal years thereafter. And be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted subject to a permissive referendum in accordance with the applicable provisions of village law and the local finance law. And be it further resolved that the mayor of the Village of Southampton is hereby authorized and dedicated to execute the purchase contract and any related financing or installment agreements with Zoll Medical Corporation subject to review and approval as to form by the village attorney. I'll make the motion.
I will second. All in favor?
Discussion?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So these things have a 5-year useful life, as if I'm seeing this correctly, the financing is consistent with their useful life.
I'm not sure
So-
if that's correct, but yeah.
Okay, well, that's what the resolution says, right?
The benefit of this program is that our current defibrillators are old, and you can't just, ideally, you want to be operating all the ambulances with the same equipment so that the people who are trained know what's going on.
Okay.
So all of these 5 units will be delivered up front, and we pay for them over time. It's not like one's going to be delivered each year.
No, I understand.
I don't
So-
think the 5-year useful life I don't think that you're correlating saying because we're financing it for 5 years, it's consistent with the useful life. That doesn't mean the useful life is 5 years. It means after 5 years.
It's, well, here's what the resolution says.
I know what it says.
Consistent with a period of probable usefulness. That's in the resolution. So that
Correct.
implies to me a useful, how long have we had the current ones? This is just a big amount of money. So this is going, this equipment's going into each of our ambulances, one piece into each of our ambulances or medical response vehicles?
Correct.
I mean, and I get that it says that it's consistent with the lowest bid from somewhere in some state somewhere, but we didn't have an RFI for this.
An RFP? No, we
RFP.
did it off a state contract. I did verify the contract. I had the treasurer get me the contract. I made sure it complied with the law, and that's what we did. Apparently, it's a respectable, reputable company, and these
the
work.
ambulance chiefs
Yeah.
said that they have looked into this, and
Right.
this is the best defibrillator out there. The other one that some other folks on the East End are using is not good, and they were very upset that they purchased those other defibrillators. So the chief said this was the one that they really wanted. It was the best one out there, and when they could get it off of a state contract, they were very, very happy that they could get the defibrillator that they think is the best one.
We also inquired.
Useful life.
I'd have to ask, I don't, not
I
an
mean,
expert
does
on
the
this.
contract, or does the manufacturer?
Yeah, it's definitely.
Say-
I'm sure it's definitely more than 5 years. It's just the useful life of your car is more than 5 years, but you don't finance it for longer than 5 years.
No,
They do, the wording here says the period of probable usefulness.
Yeah.
That sounds like it's determined on, things
Yeah, it's
age out
based
and all
on
that.
technology,
In other
et
words,
cetera, I
it seems
guess.
likely we're going to be doing this in 5 years' time, spending this amount of money again. It's just a lot of money. I want our team to have the best equipment. We have an example recently of why that matters. So
We did
How long
inquire.
have we had?
Go ahead.
How long have we had the equipment?
I
right
don't know
now?
the answer
Roy,
to
do you know
that.
how long we've had the current equipment by any chance?
All I know is that the 3 chiefs of the ambulance department feel strongly that this is a necessary investment in the village, in the safety and health of our residents.
Okay.
And if you think you know more about it than the chiefs, then I encourage you to go.
Right.
Speak to
I've
them,
I don't understand that tone,
I
frankly, and I
have been through
object to it, because I didn't
I
say
have
I know
been
more
through
than they
several
do. I'm
meetings
asking
on this.
questions.
I have been through several meetings with them, talking to them, finding out about this, listening to their needs, them explaining how the current technology that they have isn't as good as the Zoll, how the alternative machine that the mayor mentioned is not good, and that it's very unusual for the company to make a deal to give you all 5 and then have 0% financing for 5 years. That's a good deal. So I trust the people who are in charge of the ambulance department to make the proper recommendations. So I agree it's a lot of money, but there doesn't seem to be any alternative unless you want to just keep the old machines that are falling apart. So
It
So
also,
the
it
way-
does include the service.
The way I
of the-
read this is basically the opposite of the way you read it. Having been in this business 30 years ago for the city of New York with the fire department, I believe the word consistent with the period of probable usefulness means they are used longer than 5 years.
Right.
Therefore, 5 years is a viable financial period to pay them off.
They're usable over 5 years, therefore,
They're-
and more, maybe.
Right.
Therefore, you're not going to be paying
yes,
money
they're-
for
Okay.
something that's not going to be good
Right,
after
they're
2
not
years.
used consistently, so the way I understand the way these things work is they last longer than 5 years. The word consistent with period of probable usefulness, I think, could be misinterpreted the way you misinterpreted it, but I think it's the opposite of what you
And
said.
I would say the advantage is that we get to have all 5 at once,
Right.
train the staff
Oh, yeah,
on
that
these
makes
5,
sense.
and
That
have
makes
them
sense.
in all the
Right,
different vehicles.
right.
If we were to buy one a year, which you could do over 5 years,
No.
it wouldn't make sense.
No, I
because
agree.
You'd
I
have
agree.
old
Right.
machines, new machines,
No,
and again,
right.
it wouldn't be consistent.
Right.
And when somebody needs to be defibrillated, you want to make sure that the paramedic or whoever is addressing that to
Knows how to
you
use it.
knows what they're doing with that machine. And they can't say, well, oh, I've got this version, I've got this model here, it's a little different, you get it.
And we did make inquiry, oh, go ahead, Royce, sorry.
The point is, we are paying for them over 5 years with no interest. It's as though we were buying one a year, because we're paying for them one a year,
But we
but
get
we
them
get
all up
them all up front. Yeah.
And we did make inquiries, and the treasurer did, about the trade-in value of the others versus selling it on the open market, and we were confident that we were getting the best value, so.
I do know that I had several conversations when Chief Epley first raised this with me, and of course, I had the same reaction that you did, Rob. I said, wow,
You're as
that's
cheap
a
as
lot
I
of,
am.
He is
lot of
cheaper,
money.
I think.
And I said, I have some Scottish
Okay.
heritage. I said, this is, but literally after I had 3 more conversations with him, and he got us to the 0% interest, I said, okay, this makes sense. I think that's a good deal. We should do it.
We beat a dead horse. I do appreciate the additional explanation. It's a large amount of money.
It's
I
a
didn't
large
have
amount of
the backstory. I definitely don't think I know more than the chiefs do. I just wanted to understand, given the large amount of money involved. So I appreciate the conversation.
Okay, all right, thank you. So we have a motion and a second, correct? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Whereas the mayor and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Southampton have determined that improvements and renovation to the fountain located at Agawam Park are necessary to preserve, maintain, and enhance village property, and whereas the proposed work may include design, repair, structural improvements, plumbing, electrical, mechanical upgrades, and related site work, and whereas the village desires to solicit proposals in accordance with its procurement policy, now therefore be it resolved, the mayor and board of trustees hereby authorize the issuance of a request for a proposal for the renovation of the fountain at Agawam Park, and be it further resolved that the superintendent of the Department of Public Works is authorized to prepare said RFP in accordance with village procurement policies, and be it further resolved the proposals received shall be reviewed, presented to the Board of Trustees for consideration and possible award at a future meeting. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Discussion. This is the fountain in the middle of Agawam Park, which is actually our memorial to the Second World War. The monument structure closer to the lakeshore is the World War I memorial. The fountain in the middle of the park is actually the World War II memorial for the village. So this will be enhancing the World War II memorial in the park as well. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Whereas the Superintendent of Public Works has identified certain hazardous street trees located throughout the village that pose a potential risk to public safety and property, and whereas the removal of such trees is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of village residents and to maintain the public right-of-way, and whereas the Board of Trustees desires to solicit proposals from qualified contractors for the removal and proper disposal of said hazardous street trees, now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and Board of Trustees hereby authorize the issuance of a request for proposal for the removal and disposal of hazardous street trees throughout the village as identified by the Superintendent of Public Works, and be it further resolved that the Superintendent of Public Works is authorized to prepare the specifications and list of locations for inclusion in the RFP, and be it further resolved that the proposals received shall be reviewed and presented to the Board of Trustees for consideration and possible award at a future meeting. I'll make the motion, and I'll have something to say
Well,
about
I'll
this.
second and you can
Okay.
discuss.
I'm the liaison to the Tree Committee, and this has been a hot topic for a while now. Steve Phillips, the superintendent, and John Flick, the parks director, went out and counted the number of street trees that the village is responsible for. That number is 8,300 some odd street trees. They then determined that of that universe of 8,300 street trees, about 250 need to be removed because they present a hazard to the public. So this is a very granular analysis and counting by those two gentlemen, and we look forward to starting the process to remove these trees. That's my 2 cents.
And I'll just say thanks, Len. It's important work. I know you're working hard with those guys, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Rob.
Number 15, resolve the Board of Trustees approves the 2026 Southampton Chamber of Commerce events listed as follows. Sundays from May 3rd to September 13th, and Saturday, June 27th, Artisans and Art, the Farmers and Artisan Market held at Agawam Park from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Second event is Thursday, October 1st, Paint the Town Pink and Kickoff Breast Cancer Awareness Month tree lighting ceremony held at the front entrance of the Southampton Chamber of Commerce at 6:30 p.m. Third event is Saturday, November 28th, the 30th Annual Fire Truck Parade of Lights held in conjunction with the Southampton Fire Department commencing at dark at 4:45 p.m. This event is also in conjunction with the Christmas Decorating Committee tree lighting ceremony and fireworks display at Agawam Park at 5:15 p.m. And then finally, Saturday, December 5th, Southampton, It's a Wonderful Village, consists of all-day events to shop, dine, and stroll Southampton Village. I'll make the motion.
Second. All in favor?
Quick
Aye.
discussion.
Oh, sorry.
Does anyone on this board have a better understanding? I think this December 5th event is new. Do we have?
No, I believe that they have actually done it in the past.
Yeah,
Have they
we've
done
done
it
it
in the
before,
past?
They
yeah.
have,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Rob,
resolved.
if you want a hayride, that's the day to do it. Up
Okay.
and down Main Street.
Okay.
Okay?
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approved the Hope for Depression Research Foundation to hold its annual HDRF Race of Hope 5K on Sunday, August 2nd, 2026, at 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. to start and finish at Agawam Park. Setup will take place starting at 4:30 a.m. I will make the motion.
Second.
Again, this is a discussion. This has been done each year for the last several years now, and it has proved that it's not too disruptive on a Sunday morning. So with a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the FATA Fund, Inc. to host a fashion event on Saturday, September 19, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Agawam Park. The setup will take place on Friday, September 18, 2026, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. to include access to the South SCC Veterans Center, pre-positioning of the village snowmobile and tent. I make a motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves Massapequa Park Bike Club to host its 2026 Tour of the Hamptons on Sunday, September 27th, 2026, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event is expecting 650 participants. The start and finish will be at Southampton High School. I make the motion.
I will second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And finally, whereas Gary Cooper, born Frank James Cooper on May 7th, 1901, was an iconic American actor whose career spanned over 3 decades, 1925 to 1961, establishing him as one of the most enduring and beloved stars of Hollywood's golden age. And whereas born in Helena, Montana, Gary Cooper brought an authentic Western ruggedness, quiet strength, and understated charm to the silver screen, often embodying the ideal American hero characterized by integrity, modesty, and courage. And whereas Gary Cooper starred in 84 feature films, leaving an indelible mark on cinematic history, with memorable roles in the classics such as The Virginian, 1929, Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, 1936, Sergeant York, 1941, The Pride of the Yankees, 1942, and High Noon, 1952. And whereas he was recognized with 5 Academy Award nominations and 3 Academy Awards, including Best Oscars for Sergeant York and High Noon, as well as an Academy Honorary Award, now the Lifetime Achievement Award, in 1961, for his career achievements and international reputation. And whereas Gary Cooper has ranked at number 11 on the American Film Institute's list of the 50 greatest screen legends, and his legacy continues to influence classic film buffs and the film industry, representing the strong, silent archetype of American masculinity. And whereas following his marriage in New York in 1933 to Veronica Rocky Balfe, and the birth of their daughter in 1937, Gary Cooper began a lifetime of visits to the village of Southampton, where his in-laws owned a home. And whereas Gary Cooper passed away in Los Angeles in 1961 after a battle with cancer, and whereas in May 1974, and after his family relocated back to New York, Cooper's remains were exhumed and reburied in the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Mary Roman Catholic Church Cemetery in Southampton, and whereas in 2026 we honor the 125th anniversary of his birth, celebrating a man who was not only a superstar, but a respected figure. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Southampton does hereby declare May 9th, 2026 as Gary Cooper Day in recognition of his 125th birthday, encouraging all citizens to watch his films, appreciate his contribution to American culture, and celebrate his enduring legacy. I will make the motion.
Who's going to vote against that?
I will second that well-written resolution.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now I have to have a motion for a walk-on because we have one walk-on resolution. I'll make the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the walk-on reads as such. Whereas the Metropolitan Transportation Authority and the Long Island Railroad are initiating a project to restore and paint the North Main Street train trestle and the North Sea Road train trestle within the Village of Southampton, and whereas the work will require them to shut down the named roadways either partially or fully for a limited time during the work hours, and whereas a maintenance and protection of traffic plan has been submitted to the Superintendent of the Department of Public Works for the Village of Southampton, and whereas the plan has been approved by the Superintendent, and whereas in accordance with the MPT, the work shall be completed at night and emergency vehicles will have access through and over the roadways even during said closure, and whereas no work shall be performed between May 21st, 2026 and September 8th, 2026, now therefore be it resolved in accordance with the above, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the work and the closure of the named roadways as needed to complete the project. I will make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we'll go to comments from board members, and we will start with Trustee Coburn.
Thank you, Mayor Manger. Just a summary of a few things. I met with the mayor and Supervisor Phillips this week to discuss some upgrades to amenities and aesthetics at Cooper's Beach. I mentioned this mostly to remind people that summer is coming at some point, so we will have beach weather. And we'll enhance what is already the #1 beach in the nation. I don't know where we can go from there, but we'll try. I met last Friday with a group working on a very exciting initiative to establish a Southampton Design Week. I thought on the first hearing it's a fabulous idea. Anyone interested in learning more or getting involved can contact me, but maybe better to reach out to Shannon Willey at Sea Green Design, William Matuska at WM Seisel, or Quinn Pofall at Jessam Studios if you have an interest in learning more, getting involved in a potential Southampton Design Week. Trustee Stevenson and I are continuing our work with the Southampton Village Partnership involving a very promising website tool and some events and messaging to highlight and energize the amazing resources and amenities of our village center, so stay tuned. The mayor and I have continued some work and feedback for Garnett Di Pasquale, which is the architectural firm working on Village Hall. And I say that mostly to give a shout out to Tish Rahill of Gardeneering, a local business here, who is part of the team that's working on the Arboretum restoration project at SAC. And she very kindly took a look at our plans and made some recommendations for the plantings that would be part of the new planters at the back of this building. So I wanted to thank her for that. I wanted to acknowledge and thank the many village residents who've written to this board and contacted me privately on not only the proposed election law and the sewer, but many items we're considering. Communication is a two-way street, and the time and effort you've taken is appreciated. I'm wearing a birthday gift I received recently that says democracy is not a spectator sport, so I appreciate people getting onto the field and making their views known. And lastly, I wanted to highlight, for those who didn't see it, actually an advertisement. It was really an open letter in the Southampton Press. I was going to read it, but it's too long. I'll let people see it. Go back and look at last week's Southampton Press. This is an open letter written by Bob Hand. For those who don't know, he suffered a major cardiac arrest last month while working at the police station. And his letter cites the superb response of our police department, our volunteer ambulance corps, and the staff at Stony Brook Southampton Hospital and Stony Brook University Hospitals. He ends his letter by letting these groups know, and I'm quoting, "You are the heartbeat of this village, and I'm eternally grateful to be alive because of you." So I can't add anything more to what Bob said. I frankly want to call out the way Bob said it, and we should all be very proud to have an employee with the skills, reputation, civic mindedness, and gratitude that Bob Hand has. So please take a look at this letter if you have a chance. And with that, I'm going to say good night.
Thank you. We'll go to Trustee
Yeah,
Simeoni.
just very briefly, the Senior Services Committee has extended the time in order to be able to complete the survey, extended to tomorrow, May 13th. I encourage everybody who hasn't done so yet to complete the survey so that we can collect the information and assist us in preparing programs for seniors of the village.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you. As I mentioned earlier tonight, I fully endorse and support the efforts of the Skip the Stuff movement to help alleviate some of the plastic pollution that is threatening our area. But if we really want to think about it, we have a much larger environmental threat that already exists in our area, way larger and way more threatening than the knives and forks that are being passed out at Golden Pear or McDonald's. We have a village that is operating with old technology, cesspools, septic tanks that are deteriorating, that once served a village of a few people that are now serving a much larger group. And our Lake Agawam, the central water body in our village, is very polluted. We've worked very hard to improve it. We've made major steps which have helped reduce some of the toxic algae and bad things that happen when the pollution and the water temperature raises up in the summer. But still, when we have a big storm and there's a lot of runoff, some of that sewage just automatically flows into our lakes. And I heard the complaints and the observations of the people tonight, and it struck me to the core, especially the comments made about the children. As the owner of a toy store, I think about that all the time. But we have a playground over right next to Lake Agawam where children are playing every day. And in the summer, when we have a blue algae bloom, there could be toxic spores blowing westward on the wind into that area. It's a bad problem. And it's 2026, and we need to get a sewer in Southampton Village. And that's just what we need. I'm sorry, but we absolutely have to get it. And it was amazing and fortunate that the owner of the Southampton Press made it possible for us to consider the site that we are currently looking at, to consider if it might be appropriate for the sewer. But in order to even consider it, we have to acquire that site. And that's what all of this is about, and the necessity of alienating the Lola Prentice Park. I get the concerns. We do have a sewage treatment plant in the village at the hospital. This is the place where people go to get healthy when they're sick. I would think that the hospital professionals would be extremely concerned that if the sewage treatment plant that is in their parking lot was causing dangerous toxins or anything to the visitors to their hospital, they would not have that sewage treatment plant there, and yet they do. I guarantee you that the engineers, the people who put together this project, who finally finalize it, if it ever gets finalized, because we still have to acquire the property, we still have many, many steps to take. Whoever said that we're nearing the finish line is crazy. We're just at the start line, but we finally just gotten to the start line because we didn't have any other place to put it. And to the folks who are saying, let's put it out at the Southampton College site, if you think it's going to be expensive to put it in the center of the village, to pipe it 2 or 3 miles to the college without even knowing whether the Southampton Hospital is ever going to go there, I'm sorry, but before Trustee Coburn and Trustee Zananti were on the sewage committee, I was on it. So, and it goes back to former Mayor Epley and former Mayor Irving. A lot of people have been working on this for a long time, and it's past due. We need to get it done. It's 2026. We have to dot all the T's, cross all the I's, make sure it's safe. With the comment that the leaching fields are going to be 30 feet from somebody's doorstep, that's not correct. The zoning requirements mean the leaching fields have to be at least 200 feet away, and that's where that would be cited to ensure that that is done. So all I can say is I understand everybody's concern. I understand what everybody's talked about tonight. I appreciate it, but we have an environmental potential disaster here in our area with Lake Agawam and the continuing pollution that flows into it from the business district. And I think we need to at least take the step of seeing if we can solve this problem by acquiring that property.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. We'll go to Trustee Zinanti.
Thank you, Mayor. A year and a half ago, we had a public session on what a sewer district would look like and what the realities of creating a sewer treatment plant would be, and that was a year and a half ago. Tonight, we heard some misstatements and some misconceptions from the individuals who spoke. We will have a public session on April 18th, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. in this room, and I encourage everybody to come. The science, the engineering will be explained. The politics will be explained, and the politics drove the site, and that will all be explained as to the many years of work that resulted in where we are today. So thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Yesterday, I had the pleasure of representing the mayor at an anti-bias task force get-together at Southampton Town Hall, which celebrated the Women of Distinction. It was a very uplifting event, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to go and listen to these great stories. The 4th of July parade fundraiser will be on March 26th at Union Burger. Tickets are $50, $60 at the door, and I will leave the flyer and some tickets at the front desk if anybody's interested in attending the fundraiser, and it's for an extremely good cause. And lastly, we are in budget season, which I love, and nobody else around here loves. But we are putting together the tentative budget to be presented soon for the upcoming fiscal year. And the participation of the Budget and Finance Committee and the department heads, as well as the staff in the Treasurer's office, have been outstanding. And it's just been a great process to live through, and I enjoy that kind of stuff. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, Trustee Zinanti. While we were actually speaking, someone texted me the useful life of defibrillators, and they said they found that it is 8 to 10 years.
Great. Thank you.
Just if anyone's interested.
It validates my point.
I love these people at home that help you out. Anyway, PSEG also goes on with their project to bring more power to the watermill area of the township, and they are having to do that by coming to the station that they have right there at the intersection of West Prospect and North Sea Road. They will be continuing on that for a little while longer. It has been a little bit disruptive on Willow Street, which is actually where our DPW barn is located. It has caused a little inconvenience, and I'm sure that those that live there are also inconvenienced by this. Please know that they're working as expeditiously as possible to get this line in for additional power to go up North Main Street and out into the Deerfield section of Watermill. They have, in the agreement with them, will be the repaving of all of those streets curb to curb. So once they are finished, please realize the roads are not going to be left the way they may be right now. They have in the agreement that they will be repaved curb to curb, and we will get that done as expeditiously as possible. I do also want to mention that the permeable reactive barrier, another environmental tool that we are trying to employ to prevent some of the groundwater from seeping into Lake Agawam. They did the drilling in Dozier Park, and now they are going to come back, I believe, later this month or April to insert the wood chips, and actually it's a type of vegetable oil, down in those wells that have manhole covers on top. But that we will see the effectiveness of that to try and stop some of the seepage of some of the groundwater into Lake Agawam. and that is being monitored by Stony Brook. So we will see the numbers and the results of that that tool. Additionally, this came up in the fall, but now it's finally the snow is melting, and the group is going to resume installing the bioswales along Wickapog Road. And again, that is to capture some of the stormwater from going into Phillips Pond and Wickapog Pond and even Old Town Pond. So again, we're working on lots of different areas in this village to, again, try and prevent overflow of stormwater into our bodies of water in the village, and so people will see some work going on down there on Wickapog Road very soon. Lastly, I want to mention one thing that some people have come to me with, and I'd like to bring this up to the board, and we can discuss it more at the work session. But people have asked if the village might consider no outside construction during the summer months on Saturday. So they understand Monday through Friday. Some people have said that they cannot use their backyard, their pool, whatever they have, on Saturdays in the summer because of work going on at a neighboring property. So again, I understand if it's someone, the homeowner doing some minor work around their house on a Saturday, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about major construction going on from 9 until 5 on a Saturday during the summer. So I would like this board to consider that as an idea of how we might, again, be able to provide a little bit more of a quiet quality of life of those, here in the summer trying to enjoy the outdoors. We haven't been able to be outdoors recently with the cold and the snow, but I know that a lot of people really relish their time in the summer when they can sit outside. And certainly, again, if you had a major construction site next to your house on a Saturday, that would be impactful. So I did want to just raise that with the board, and we can discuss it at the work session. But other than that, I think that's it. It's 9 o'clock, Sage, and I think we're going to adjourn this meeting of the Village Board of Trustees. I will make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Roy. We'll see